We traveled the country to find out what kind of gear military members take with them into battle, from Air Force pilots to Marine Corps officers and a New Zealand Army soldier. We began with an Army Ranger from the 75th Ranger Regiment.
So if we're trying to breach a wall, a door, we will have pre-built charges prior to going out on the mission. If the initiation system fails, you always carry your alternative means. That way you can rapidly attempt to initiate that breach. Hi, I'm Sergeant First Class Jacob Braun. I'm a platoon sergeant in the 75th Ranger Regiment, and this is everything that a Ranger would typically carry on a night raid. The Rangers are the Army's premier special operations light infantry raid force. We focus primarily on airfield seizures and raid type objectives. We primarily focus on nighttime raids just due to the surprise element. We rapidly overcome the objective, do what we need to do, and then rapidly withdraw from the target objective, typically in one period of darkness. I've served 12 years in the Ranger Regiment. I've deployed 9 times, and I've used this exact equipment sitting here numerous times on night raids to accomplish the mission. Right here you have your aviator's kit bag. This is something that typically every Ranger will use to transport their gear when we travel. This bag contains everything that I would typically take as a Ranger platoon sergeant on a point raid objective. Okay, so I'll start off with my ballistic helmet. It has a variety of objects attached to it, so we'll go ahead and start off with the front of the helmet. So right here you're going to see your PVS 31s. These are night vision goggles. They're white phosphorus and they give us the ability to see at night. As you come to the rear of the helmet, you're going to see these Peltors ear protection. They also, you can see the wires. Those will plug into my radios and communications equipment that you'll see later on my plate carrier. These essentially give me the ability to communicate calmly with my team, and it protects my ears from loud noises when we're shooting our weapons or conducting any type of breaches, explosives, stuff like that. On the rear of the helmet, you have a battery pack, and it also has an infrared strobe that is used for marking friendly locations on the objective. So essentially, when you look through the PVS 31s, your night vision, you can see these blinking or steady strobes, and that highlights where your friendly elements are on the objective. This helmet provides ballistic protection, and it essentially allows us to carry all the equipment that we would need to see and communicate with our friendly elements.
Is it comfortable to wear, uncomfortable?
So this specific helmet is extremely comfortable. If you can see, I'll try and open up a little bit. It has a pretty simple padded system in there and suspension system, so you can tighten it and loosen it based on the individual's needs. And they've come a long way. The first helmets that we were using when I first got to the regiment were a little bit more bulky, a little bit heavier. The pads weren't as comfortable. So these things continue to develop, and we're sitting pretty good with where these are right now. Okay, next up is going to be my plate carrier. It's commonly referred to as a kit within the organization. So I'll pull this out, and we'll talk top to bottom what's on here. So first, I have a phone here. We use this primarily for GPS, internal communications within the elements, and it also relays our location to other leaders on the ground. Okay, so next going down, this little device right here is going to be my push-to-talk, typically referred to as a PTT. That is connected into my Harris 163 radio. These two antennas are basically allow me to talk on multiple channels at the same time, and they also geolocate with this device right here, so you can see where I'm at on the objective area. Pretty much every leader on the ground will carry one of these so that we can communicate with each other. So as I referred to earlier, you can see the wires coming off my Peltors. These will plug in right there, and I can hear everything internally without having to scream or shout to each other. We can talk relatively calm in the chaos. Right now I have mine set up to carry my magazines here in the front. These magazines are for my primary weapon system, which is an M4. So standard loadout carries 7 of these, which gives you 210 rounds of 5.56 on the objective on every rifleman. On the front, I have these bungee pouches. I typically will stick anything on there, mission dependent, just extra equipment that I might need to rapidly access. So down here is this pouch. Next is going to be a headlamp with red lens capability. Red lens reduces the signature, allows us to stay relatively hidden in the darkness, and it's not super bright so that we're not projecting our force out into the open area. This is typically going to be used at a short halt or once the area is secure, if we're doing like a map check, something in that instance. I also carry a shock tube initiator. This is an alternate means of initiating a breach. Typically this is used during a failed breach. This would never be a primary means of initiation. So if we're trying to breach a wall, a door, something similar, we will have pre-built charges prior to going out on the mission that are built with initiation systems separate from the charge. Once you get up, you would tie in. If the initiation system fails due to some type of foreign debris causing a malfunction, it's just a bad initiating system. Anything, you always carry your alternative means. That way you can rapidly attempt to initiate that breach. So this shock tube initiator would tie directly in to the shock tube, which would initiate the charge. So right here we have a VS-17 panel. This is utilized to signal friendly forces on the objective and also signal aircraft. So as you can see, it's extremely visible. If I was trying to signal somebody, I could just basically hold it up, flash it, and get somebody's attention without needing to be super overt. Next in here is going to be just a standard lensatic compass. Like I said, we typically will navigate using modern technology, but it pays to have something like this on hand just to confirm, especially if you're talking to aircraft or something in that manner. So it's just typical compass, primarily serves as a backup to more modern equipment, but every Ranger will typically have one of these on them. Spare batteries. Obviously there's a lot of technical equipment that I'm carrying on my kit. Previously to us leaving for the objective, we'll put fresh batteries in, and then we'll have at least one spare for every piece of equipment that we carry. The last thing I have in my pouch is a casualty card. So as a platoon sergeant, I keep one of these on me on every objective. Worst case scenario, if there's multiple casualties that we need to triage and take care of, this allows me to rapidly kind of organize the chaos and get them the help they need. So it's just a brief rundown of the types of injuries they have, the level of stability that they're at that I can communicate up and request the proper assets to get them the care they need. Every Ranger will typically carry multiple tourniquets on their person that they can access with either hand in the case that they have to provide self-aid until assistance arrives or a medic. Okay, so now I'll rotate a little bit. So on the back of my kit, I'm going to have additional magazine pouches similar to what's on front. I have an additional pair of fast rope gloves rubber banded to the back of my kit. When we go out, we'll know how we're going to infill, but sometimes due to the situation, we'll have to make a call en route that we're going to fast rope. Essentially, that just means we're going to slide down a rope from a helicopter. You will want to use a specific pair of gloves to protect your hands when you're fast roping. So every Ranger will keep a pair of those, typically rubber banded to their belt or their kit that they can rapidly access. If you don't have fast rope gloves and you need to fast rope, honestly, you probably will end up not going on target that night because it is extremely dangerous. If you don't have those, it can do a lot of damage to your hands, and essentially you would become a casualty as soon as you infill due to the extreme friction burns that you would receive. You'd be combat ineffective. The rest of my plate, again, this is typically set up mission dependent. I keep mine slick on the back. That way I can wear any type of pack, carry additional equipment, or I can carry stuff off target that we might need. Other leaders might have additional pouches with additional equipment or more magazines, or they would typically carry their charges in a pouch on their rear plate. Mine's set up slick just because I typically run a little bit lighter as the platoon sergeant. I need to be more mobile, so I don't like to have a lot of gear all over my kit. And again, as you can see, I have a front and rear plate. for protection, and then I have side plates as well. A majority of my vitals on my upper body are going to be covered at any given time. So the plate carrier typically weighs anywhere between 15 to 30 pounds, depending on what you're carrying. Altogether, when I'm wearing my entire kit, I usually am wearing an additional 50 to 75 pounds over body weight. So I'm weighing roughly about 300 pounds when I'm on target. This specific plate carrier is one that I've worn for the past 7 years or so. It's extremely lightweight. The shoulders, as you can see, are extremely slim profile. I can shoulder my rifle extremely comfortably, which allows me to engage accurately. So next I'm going to pull out my belt. This is typically referred to as a war belt. So this is an external belt. Velcro will attach it to my internal belt that I will wear on my pants. It has a Cobra buckle system, which allows rapid securing and unsecuring if need be. First thing you're going to notice here is my airframe tether. So any time we are riding on aircraft, this will be secured to a retention hook on the floor of the aircraft typically. It has a little bit of stretch, so we'll hook this in once we load the aircraft, and we'll remain hooked in until we're ready to offload. This just keeps us safe in case there's any type of issues with the aircraft. So this is extremely important to have on at all times. Next, I have my pistol mag in my pistol mag pouch. I typically will carry one of those in addition to my pistol, which is already loaded. That gives me roughly 30 rounds of 9mm ammo as a backup to my primary weapon system.
What type of pistol do you carry?
We carry Glock 19s, sometimes Glock 17s, depending on what position you're in. But I typically will carry a Glock 19. This pouch right here is extremely useful. It's called a dump pouch. Every Ranger has one. They can also be rolled up and stowed. Essentially, we'll carry anything in these. Extra water bottles, food. If you're doing magazine changes, you'll stow your empty magazines here to retain them for later use. It's one of those kind of catch-all bags or pouches. Everything can then be secured with this pouch or this strap right here that goes over top and secures it. As we move further across the belt, it's pretty standard equipment right here is a Gerber multi-tool. This comes in handy for a variety of reasons. Obviously it has a knife, pliers, different things that we would need to access. This is not something that I need quickly, that's why it's towards the rear of my belt, but in extreme circumstances it could come in very handy to essentially help either fix a malfunction with my weapon system or do anything that I might need it to do. Next is my med kit. This is a standard med kit that every Ranger will have on their body. Typically, it's going to be attached either to their kit or their belt. I like to have mine on my belt because it's a little bit easier to reach with both hands. This one specifically can be removed by pulling this panel right here, and then I can move the pouch. This will be used to essentially assist a casualty once additional help arrives or if they need to do further casualty care. So this area right here is kept clean because that's typically where my pistol would go. So if I'm wearing my belt, my pistol's on my right side because I'm right-handed. That's clean so I have unobstructed access to my pistol in case I need to draw that. And then last but not least, right here, you have a pouch for a M67 fragmentation grenade. This is a lethal munition that most leaders will carry on target. I like to have mine set up on my belt for rapid access. You can additionally carry them kind of on the front, left or right of your plate carrier, depending on which hand you are. That way it's easily retrievable. That is what I would carry on my person for a typical Ranger night raid.
We also have what's called a HMIC, so a helmet-mounted cueing system. It is a monocle that basically will put any of those different features. So if we've got a target that we've designated on the ground, we can look over at that particular target and see, no kidding, red triangle that's over top of it as long as it's bore-sighted correctly. Hi everyone, my name is Captain Lindsay Johnson. My call sign is MAD. Today I'm going to show you everything that I take with me to the jet when I go to fly the A-10. The standard helmet we've got here, we've got a black visor. This is if I'm gonna go fly kind of a normal cross-country flight or an instrument sortie. Nothing that requires necessarily too much as far as like tactically speaking goes. So I'll usually put that on there. We keep the cover on it so that way it doesn't get scratched up, because when you get out to the aircraft, the crew chief will throw it up in front of the HUD and you want to make sure it doesn't get scratched up. The helmet itself's got the standard masks. We hook into our what's called like a Crew 60 that's actually in the aircraft. It's what hooks our oxygen hose to the oxygen that's on the actual aircraft itself. And that's where the oxygen will come flow through into my mask. We'll make sure that everything is clear, it's not dirty, that we actually are able to, we don't see anything that's going to be impacting at least our ability to talk here. And then you just give it a once over to make sure, hey, all of my normal audio connections are plugged in. For me, I fly with what we call access, so it's specific earplugs that we use to plug into the helmet itself. It's formed, molded to the inside of my ear, so when you see I wear them like this, it's a lot better for me. You probably hear me talk a lot louder now, but it's a lot better for our ears. We can hear the communications a lot better. So typically if you fly with regular earplugs, this thing is still plugged in, but for me, I plug in before I get into the start engines and everything. I plug into there, have these on, have my helmet on, and I can hear everything through these earplugs rather than the normal foamy earplugs that you see. So for me, I usually just make sure, hey, this is actually still good and that this is unplugged for me. But it's typical helmet for us. It's got what they call a nape strap. So this is what helps keep the helmet fitted to the back of your neck. It goes like right under your actual nape of your head and stays fitted onto your head. So if you have to eject for any reason, the helmet is going to stay properly on your head. And then we also have good ear foamies that cover up your ears to help keep you an additional ear protection for the loud engine noises inside the cockpit. Other things for the helmet itself, we have what's called a lip light. If you look, it's right on the inside of where you'd actually, it's going to look weird when I actually do it, but no kidding, you can see this right here. If you push on that, that changes the actual light on or off. So you no kidding, just put your tongue out like this to turn it on and then back off again. This is huge at night for us to be able to have. So if I'm writing on my kneeboard and I need to be able to see the piece of paper, rather than turn on a bunch of lights and affect my night vision, I have this little lip light that I can just turn on quickly, make sure I'm seeing what I'm writing down or see what I wrote down previously, and then turn it back off. So usually what we do if we're not flying on nights, we keep this unplugged to save the battery for it. Generally what we say if we're flying nights, if my lip light's not working, it's an emergency, and which is not serious, but we feel like it's an emergency because you don't hate not being able to see things in the cockpit. So generally I'll show you what I do. Once I make sure my helmet's good to go, throw the helmet inside the cockpit or inside the helmet bag. Put that in there. I've got my water bottle that I'll typically put in there. Next thing I'll talk to you about is the harness. So for us, each of us flies with the harness since we're in an ejection seat aircraft. So our ejection seat is the ACES 2. It's a seat that's rated for 0 to 0. So we're at 0 feet and 0 knots. So I could be canopy closed, sitting in the aircraft and have an issue and I need to eject. And the canopy should open up safely for us. So standard stuff for the harness, we've got a chest strap right across here, and then we've got 2 leg straps. So they've got, 3 contact points for us, both with the legs and then across the harness. Over here, when we wear, I didn't talk about this with my helmet, but we also have what's called a HMIC, so a helmet mounted queuing system. You've probably seen some pictures of it. Let's see if there's any helmets that are here. I'll borrow this guy's helmet. We can talk about it. It is a monocle, essentially. They're fairly expensive, but they have a whole electrical cable that will go through to the cockpit, and it'll plug in down here. You'll plug in on the actual harness itself, and then you actually will put it through here, so that way, hey, if for any reason we need to eject, this is safely there to keep you.
What is the monocle for?
So our monocle, it's hooked up to our aircraft. We have moving maps. We've got different ways we can designate targets. We can see other aircraft that are airborne. It is a monocle that basically will put any of those different features. So if we've got a target that we've designated on the ground, we can look over at that particular target and see a, no kidding, red triangle that's over top of it as long as it's bore-sighted correctly. So it's really actually fairly accurate. It allows us to just add more, have more information as to what we're seeing in a battle space, which helps us out a lot. So a little bit bigger of a visor that we've got that will go over top of it. And you can turn this on and off with a button that we've got on our actual sticks using what they call HOTAS, so hands-on throttle and stick. So right eye over here is where we're going to be looking. Generally looking out over our canopy from the right side, and we can see other aircraft that are airborne. You can see different targets, friendlies, those type of things out on the ground. So when we go to step to fly, generally for us as A-10 pilots, we generally fly with 2 knee boards. These knee boards are used to put any of our data cards or any pieces of paper underneath products that we have when we're flying. We'll place them here on our knees, so when we're flying, we have a quick access to be able to fly. And then typically pilots will fly with what we call like a pencil tab holder. They'll easily put their pencil in here. They can keep flying the jet and then quickly just go and write on the knee board like that. So usually when we brief with students, we've got data cards that we talk to. It goes over, hey, what's our takeoff time? What time are we going to land? What airspace are we going to? Who are we going to be talking to? And then any other pertinent information. So once we finished briefing, we'll put our piece of paper on our data card. We'll go up to our step desk where we get any of the applicable information for our flight that day. We get what tail and spot that our aircraft is at. So the tail number for the aircraft, where we're going to be going as we step. We throw that on there, and then we'll put that in our flight bag here. So our pubs bag that we all fly with, for us, up on the A-10 itself, right above, or right in front of our HUD, we have a place on our glare shield that we can place this pubs bag. So pretty large, it can fit a lot of different stuff in it. But what we'll do is right in front of us, the HUD, right in front of the HUD, it'll sit up here like this in the aircraft itself.
What does a pubs bag, is that short for something?
Publications bag. So it used to be, before we had electronic flight bags or iPads, we used to carry all paper publications. So you'd have to stuff everything in all these pockets.
What kind of publications are you carrying with you on a flight?
Yeah, so for us, we've got any of our what they call like tech data. So if we've got any emergency procedures, hey, I've got a hydraulic issue, I can quickly touch that, go to the hydraulic issue pages and reference the particular pubs pages. As well as we have what's called an in-flight guide. So flying in the local area, it's kind of like a quick reference guide for us, for people that we talk to, airspaces we go to, frequencies that we use, as well as, hey, if you've got any emergencies, these are your no kidding minimum fuels that you need to have to be able to go to a different airfield for bad weather or emergencies that you particularly have. So all good stuff that we've got that's just right at our fingertips when we're flying. So now, rather than having a bunch of paper pubs, we have 2 of these that we'll throw in here along with our typical knee boards that we fly with. We throw all of that in there. And then for us generally as well, I've also got kind of like a knee board that I can use for my electronic flight bag that will just slide on here. So I'll show you at least an easy thing for that. I can throw that on here, put that on my knee, and then I've got my one piece of paper over here that I can write on. That's generally what I use for like cross-country flights. Throw that in there and make sure I've got all the applicable pubs and pieces of paper that I need. Sometimes, now that we don't have paper pubs, you'll tend to see pilots will put snacks, waters, all that kind of stuff in there for the longer cross-country flights that we've got. The next thing I'll show you is the G-suit. So for us, that is what we use to be able to help go against any Gs that we're undergoing under any flights. So for us, it's a requirement if we're expected to pull more than 4 Gs in flight, we need to be wearing a G-suit. However, typically we wear a G-suit every single flight for us. So there are bladders, air bladders that are inside of the G-suit. We've got one's in front of our actual stomach, so to help our stomach muscles, ab muscles to push up against as we're pulling G's. And then we've got bladders all throughout our legs as well. So through this tube here, as we're hooked up to the aircraft itself through our bleed air, it will actually push air through here as the aircraft is starting to go under G. So if I'm going to be undergoing about 4 Gs, I'm going to be feeling like I'm pulling about 3 Gs with the use of a G suit.
What does it feel like as it kind of inflates?
I'd probably equate that to putting a blood pressure cuff around your whole entire waist and your legs is what I would feel, what it kind of feels like against you.
Why is that important when you're experiencing Gs to have that force?
Yeah. So for us to have this helps when you undergo Gs. Generally, it's going to pull the blood away from your heart down to your outer extremities. So when you undergo Gs and you have a G suit, that's going to help push the blood back towards your heart, keep you from having any light loss. And things of that nature. So keep you from being, fit to fight, be able to keep flying. So for us in the A-10, generally, we don't endure more than 5 Gs for a whole lot of time. We can't sustain it, kind of like the F-16. But for us, at least, we're able to pull Gs, and then this is going to help us, keep from having any light loss. So things that we've got on here, each G suit has a pocket for a hook knife. So for any time, if we have to eject and we end up under canopy and there's any issues with some lines, we have line overs, we're able to cut up to 4 lines of those that are having any issues. So generally each pilot will fly with their own personal knife, but we also have this, right over our leg to be able to grab for under canopy, as well as, if for any reason we're in an area that we need to utilize a knife, we've got that there as well. So the G suit itself will go around your waist. It's got 2 buttons to button itself and then a zipper to come back up. And then over here, these are where we can loosen it up as we're actually putting the G suit on our legs. And then once you actually get the pants on, you'll tighten it up so it's tighter around your legs. We've got 2 G suit straps as well. So if people before they kind of invented knee boards that I showed you earlier, people would put their data cards or any paper that they need, products to reference, they'd put it here on their actual G suit legs itself. For me, what I do is I keep my flight gloves here, so when I have my G suit actually on, I can just pull those off before I do my walk around of the aircraft. Recently, only in the past few years, we've actually gotten approval to be able to have flight gloves that have up to 3 holes in our fingers. Usually it's, hey, you're going to have all your fingers covered. A lot of the reasons why this is useful for us, so when I'm using my iPad, I can actually hit the buttons on my iPad rather than have to take the whole entire glove off, use the actual buttons on the iPad, and then put it back on. I'm sure you've seen some gloves in the wintertime where you can open up your phone and text on your phone with the gloves, with all your fingers covered, but it's just not always 100% accurate and works for us. So we got approval to accept the risk that, hey, if we were to have, a fire in the cockpit, that we're going to have, 3 fingers that are exposed for us. So we've got these flight gloves that we'll wear. I usually put them on just prior to my walk around of the aircraft, and then I keep them on until I'm outside of the aircraft afterwards. And then for me, I'd say, you'd probably, if you ask like percentage-wise of people that fly with contacts or with glasses, I don't know the exact percentage, but now that it's approved for people to have corrected lenses to fly with, for me, I fly with contacts. I've had contacts since I was in the 7th grade, but if you're gonna fly with contacts, you have to get through an approved contact lens program. But while I'm flying with them, I am required to have my glasses with me in my pocket at any point in time, so that way if I'm flying, I have an issue with my contact and I have to take them out, then I can quickly grab my glasses. So these are not anything that you'll see in Vogue or fashion type of glasses. They're the standard issued, kind of like BCG type glasses.
We have to see you put them on.
Oh gosh, okay. So I can't see now because I've got both the contacts and the glasses on, but nothing that you're gonna probably be catching anybody asking for your number in these things, but hey, I'm still flying an airplane if I had to wear them. So I have to keep those there in the pocket. For me, I usually always carry some tissues with me because no matter what, the nose always seems to run afterwards. And then other than that, I generally just keep an open pocket for, hey, I've got a long sortie, I've got a snack in my pocket, or things along those lines that you've got. But yep, 2 pockets here that we can keep generally their glasses. Some people will keep, if we're going to fly nights, they'll put a flashlight in their pocket, things along those natures. So no requirements other than having to have your glasses in there for those specific pockets itself.
This is everything that I would take with me to the jet as a fighter pilot.
We call it a veil, or like a micro ghillie, and it essentially breaks up the triangles of your shoulder line of your head that the human eye tends to pick up. My name's Bombardier Sam. I'm with the New Zealand Army with 16th Field Regiment as a Joint Terminal Attack Controller, and this is what I'd take on a 72-hour patrol. What we'll get here is the modular assault rifle light. It's just a 5.56 assault rifle. We've got an ACOG and then a red dot on the top. We've got a PEC 15, which is our laser, and then we've also got pop-up iron sights.
What do you have sort of wrapped around it there? What's all that green stuff?
It's just the wrap to sort of break up the shape of the rifle. Essentially, if you're operating in close quarters or in close proximity, if you just had a standard black rifle, it would catch the eye and you're more likely to get detected, essentially. Here we've got the helmet. It's got the NVG mount. It's got a red light, IR strobe, and then a counterweight for the night vision. You could wear it all day long. It's not too bad. You might get a sore neck after a wee while, but here we've got the battle belt. I've got a football gameplay kind of thing, and I can just quick reference it. It's just got pertinent information, and then well, here I got like a CAS brief, so close air support brief, and I'll just have there. If I needed to reference it or sort of fill it out on the run, I don't always have the time to pull out a notebook, and I can just quickly scribble something down on it. Standard K-bar knife. A GPS, just chuck it on your wrist just for a quick reference. Individual first aid kit, so if this is just for me only, and then whoever, if I get injured, they can just quickly pull it off and get to whatever material needs. So I've got an extra tourniquet, I've got Israeli bandage, and then we've got chest seals, so if you get shot in the chest or something like that.
Obviously, like, you're not a medic, but like, you have a lot of first aid training, right?
Yeah, we have like upgrade medical courses, so like a combat lifesavers course, so you just get a little bit extra training.
Or like just basic combat medical care?
Yeah, it's just a bit more than what you would get taught just out of basic training, pretty much, yeah. Here, just got night vision, so just try and keep that on you the whole time. Ideally not in your bag, so if you forget it or leave it, then you can't operate at night. So
now, does that attach to your helmet?
Yep. So just attaches like that, and then just folds down. And here, another extra water bottle, trying to keep at least a litre on you. So just more water. Bit of rope, and then a pruning saw for cutting brush and that kind of thing, and that's just tethered to me so I don't lose it. Well, predominantly we operate in the Southwest Pacific kind of area, so a lot of our operations or previous operations are all conducted a lot of the time in the jungle or the bush. Just an extra magazine, and then a grenade pouch. Just five mags on us, and then the extra mags will be in an extra bag, so like the grab bag or something like that. Standard issue body armour. On the front here we've got extra magazines. We've got our JTAC, or essentially we can do all our mapping and all our connectivity off this. We can send data missions through radios and that kind of thing like that. We've got our push to talk, so talking on the radio. So we can operate up to 4 different channels on this, so talking to lots of different people. Got a dump pouch. To the my right hand side, we've just got different books we can reference. So this is like a J-fire, a joint fires. So this gives us all the information that we might need on the run, or we can reference it if we need to conduct some kind of mission with naval or air or ground. Just an extra notebook for CAS briefs and that kind of thing. It's just laminated, and then we go over it with sandpaper just so we can write on it in the rain with pencil. Just a back panel for extra stuff, whatever you might need, and then radio. No comms, no bombs. Yeah, comms are critical. You can't do anything out.
Yeah, but isn't it tough in some jungle environments?
Yeah, for sure, but we have techniques and tactics and stuff to mitigate that kind of stuff. On the left-hand side here, we've just got a IR pointer. If I wanted to talk to like a UAV or a fighter or something that's coming to strike a target, I could essentially rope him around like this and then lasso him onto whatever he's striking. Compass, it's got tritium in it, so you can see through night. You don't actually have to charge it with like an extra light to be able to illuminate the illuminators. So this is a special reconnaissance pack. It's essentially a 72-hour loadout. Essentially how the pack's configured is we like to have all our equipment on the exterior of the pack, so we're not constantly opening the pack and digging into the middle of it. On the top of the pack here is our claymore pouch. Obviously we'd put our claymore in there. In conjunction to that, would have we call it a veil or like a micro ghillie, and it essentially breaks up the triangles of your shoulder line, your head that the human eye tends to pick up. This would be utilised when you're in the observation post or conducting a close target reconnaissance. To the right here, we have we call it a hoochie.
What's a hoochie?
A hoochie is essentially a TP tarp that we utilise in the field to keep the rain off our heads. On the pack itself, we like to keep all our water located on it, so we're not drinking the water from our webbing, just if we have to go on the run or some sort. We're not drinking all the water that's already on us. On the side here, we just got wet weather jacket. It's wet weather jacket and wet weather pants. We try avoid wearing them as much as possible because the rustling and the noise can give away your position. In this pouch here, we've got jet boil, gas.
And what's that for?
Just heating up your food, pretty much. Hot brews, coffees, those kind of things. Basically a morale tool, keep the morale up. Turns on. There's not too many good things in the field, so anything that can sort of cheer you up. In the front here we have our MREs. What we like to do is we'll break them up into 3 packs essentially. We'll have one that's just full of the meat packs, one's just full of like your scroggin, your skittles and that kind of thing, and then we also have a rubbish bag, just keep everything clean and try and reduce our sign.
What is scrog?
Scroggin is essentially, we basically grab all the nuts and berries and all that kind of stuff, and we'll take them out of their packaging and we'll chuck them into one bag just to reduce all the rubbish and that kind of thing. It's just easier instead of having to break into a new pack every time.
Yeah, why is it important to be accountable for your own trash in the field, your own rubbish in the field?
Essentially, it gives away sign, and it can give the trackers or enemy sort of a bit of a intelligence picture to sort of who's operating in that area. Got our thermal mat here, and then when we're operating we can just sit behind our pack like so, and then we have access to everything that's on our pack.
So it's just like a seat cushion?
It's a seat cushion, and it keeps your butt warm. It's just been cut and taped back together just so it folds nicely. At the top of the pack we have essentially a grab bag. The grab bag is essentially contained of all like mission critical equipment, so your radios, any ComSec material, optics, that you don't want to get into the enemy's hands. And essentially we have it in the grab bag is just so if we have to go on the run, we're not carrying a massive pack and it's there good to go. You can see that the straps on the outside just so we can grab it and pull it out. We've got our mission essential material. So we've got our thermal night optic and our day optic. So it's called a GMLR. It's a thermal optic, and it also has a day TV mode. And we can look out super far with these, essentially a lot further than your sort of normal your optics. So inbuilt into it, there's also a IR pointer. Essentially, it's a laser that's invisible to the naked eye, and it can only be seen at night with night vision goggles. So if you're marking targets or something, if you've got guys that are, or an aircraft in the overhead, you can actually laze the target or IR point the target, and then he can get quickly correlated onto it. And then some warm gears, just so if we get cold at night.
That looks pretty comfortable.
Yeah, it's good to go. Thermals, jocks, socks, you probably don't want to look at those. Just pretty standard stuff.
What are jocks?
Jocks, underwear. I think you call them underwear. Yeah. And then we have our sleeping bag. So here we've got essentially our sleeping bag set up. It's a waterproof liner that stops the bag getting wet. A lot of the time we'll just operate with just this, and we, depending on the TAC scenario, we won't actually deploy the hoochie itself. And then again, we like to order it and how we're going to use it. So when we're jumping into our bag, when we're soaking wet, we try and avoid that. So we'll have dry equipment so we can jump in. So take your wet pants off, chuck some dry pants on, and that's just standard issue jungle bag. And that's everything I'd take on a 72-hour mission.
So is it a ruck?
Yeah, ruck, a pack, ruck. We like to call it a pack, so yeah.
So it's different. You don't ever refer to it as a ruck.
If we referred to it as a ruck, everyone would know what it is.
I have face paint. Of course, we're always going to camo up your neck, anything exposed skin that you're not going to put gloves on or cover your face at all, or wear like a neck garter. This face paint particularly is Australian face paint. It works great. It's more like a makeup than it is like our face paint. This face paint is probably my favorite. I'm Sergeant Brett Bostic. I'm an instructor here at the Jungle Operations Training Center, and this is everything a soldier would take on a 72-hour mission in the jungle. So there are a lot of items that a soldier's going to need, but in general that they're going to need a lot of items to be lightweight, durable, and they're going to need to dry quickly. Right in front of me I have a Alice rucksack, and I have an Alice low-bearing belt and a rifle. All right, so this is our Colt M4, standard issue M4 that we are issued right now in the Army. This is going to be their individual weapon, not getting us any squad weapons or any platoon-sized weapons. This is just their individual rifle they'll carry. Weapons we do have in our arsenal, the M4 is probably the easiest to carry, but it does have its limitations, being a little bit longer than some other like subguns that are out there.
Do you find it difficult to carry an M4 in the jungle?
I personally don't. I think it's a very suitable weapon for the jungle and the somewhat size what we have in here now.
And how hard is it to keep that weapon clean in the jungle?
That's a little bit harder than you would think, just with the dirt and the mud that you're facing all the time in the water. So keeping it dry and clean as best as possible is a lot harder than you would think. All right, so first time we'll start on the outside. There's 3 small pouches on the small Alice pack. In the first pouch, I have just a quick access poncho or tarp. Folds up real nice. It's easy. This is great to pull out over your head at night to use a red lens, or if you're trying to build some kind of shelter or plot on a map and you're not trying to get wet if it's raining. This is great to have, just easily accessible. Stretch out big enough to cover about 2 people, so pretty big, but it compacts real nice and tight. Next pouch, I have my survival kit. All right, in my survival kit, it's just a little Pelican case, something that's sturdy, it's not going to break under pressure, and it's going to keep my stuff dry. Some quick, easy things I have in my survival kit is a little handsaw, just for chopping down trees for if I'm trying to build a shelter or build a fighting position. Steel wool and our other fire starting items. So your lighter, your batteries, your ferro rod, stuff like that. For your 9-volt battery and your steel wool, It's going to give you a good spark very quickly. And then your ferro rods. If you get a good, nice, dry bird's nest of kindling or tinder, you can throw a nice spark in there. It's going to catch fairly easy. You can keep it dry.
Do you guys have waterproof matches?
We do have waterproof matches. I have some right here. They're just not the best things, even though they say they're waterproof. With the amount of water and moisture we have, it doesn't actually stay waterproof. And then I get into water collection or water purification with iodine tablets. It's always good to have plenty of those so you can always purify water out in the rivers or the rain. Next, getting into kind of more like your hunting. So I have fishing line and fishing hooks, 60-pound test line, and then just small hooks for the small fish we have out in our rivers. And then I have a small multi-tool just for any small cuts if I happen to lose any of my bigger knives. And then duct tape. It's always great to have duct tape. And then lastly, a foil rescue blanket. It's great to have to warm up, or in case of emergency, you can lay it on the ground and help you get off the ground so your body's not, the heat doesn't get taken away from the ground. And then it all goes into your nice pelican case, fits up, stays dry, nice and compact. This next pouch over here, I have kind of like a emergency food, extra food, and a jet boil. As you see, all my waterproof bags will be tied down to my bag itself, just so I can't lose them at night if I do happen to take them out. So it's just quick and easy food. Just tuna package, chicken packets, very easy to have on hand. Personally, I could live off this for 72 hours if I needed to. Roughly 6 to 8 MREs you can stretch for that 72-hour mission. And then lastly in here, I have a small compact jet foil to either boil water, purify water, or cook any kind of food that I have out there and find. Now moving into the main compartment. On top, I have my helmet, quick access for any kind of rappelling, or if we were to get in any kind of firefight, I would flop my helmet and put it on. Next, getting into the actual main compartment, I have 2 sets of waterproof bags that are individually tied off. So if one were to fail, the next one will be there to actually stop the water. This is my main living compartment, my dry clothes, my extra food, extra water if I need to put it in there, or my actual sleeping bags, your poncho, your whoopee, anything you want to keep dry, or sensitive items. You put radios in here, just something that you don't want to get wet.
How hard is it to stay dry in the jungle?
It's almost impossible. You're gonna get wet almost immediately. That's why we do bring a separate dry kit in this bag. It's also tied down to the actual bag itself. This will be the dry kit that I was talking about. It's another waterproof bag, so this is triple protected. All right, and here I have a set of socks, another uniform, top and bottom. So this is what I'll be sleeping in and doing any kind of night operations or while I'm in my patrol base at night. And then a second pair of boots. These boots, very quick and easy to actually put on. Put these on at night and you can walk around your patrol base so you're not walking around in flip-flops like some people do in patrol bases. And then that's what I have in my dry bag, civilian dry bag. Like I said, this is my dry kit. So if I were to get into my hammock at night, I would put the dry kit on and then I would go to sleep in it. And if anything were to happen, I would still have boots on so I can get up and fight if I needed to. And then if it was my turn on watch or the night has ended, I'm going to wake up in the morning, I'll put my wet clothes back on. And then you just move throughout the day. Hopefully they dry. And then my next pouch over here, this is my food shielding or my sleeping setup. Right now I don't have it, but you would have a hammock in here or some type of poncho to actually make like an A-frame hooch out of. Right now I just have my whoopee to actually curl up and sleep underneath my rain fly. What's
a whoopee?
Whoopee, it's our military slang term for just a poncho liner. It's pretty much just a thick blanket that keeps you warm at night. Works great out here. Curling up your whoopee with your nice dry kit on is definitely what keeps students going. All right, so here we have your load bearing equipment, your flick, your taps. Here I've opted to go with the old school Vietnam Alice belt because our current issued is over the chest. It actually It's very hot, doesn't allow cool to get through. Having stuff on your belt and shoulder straps, it's actually great for the jungle environment. Obviously it worked out in Vietnam for our soldiers out there. The idea behind this is to carry your mags, your water, and your first aid kit on you. So it's your first line gear. I'll just start in the front, work my way around. So in the front, I have 2 small pouches. In one of them, I have a headlamp and then a GPS. So this is just your Princeton Tech headlamp that everybody sees. Red lens capable, of course, because we use red lens at night. It's a whole lot harder to see under night vision and out with the naked eye. And then it's also white light capable for any kind of maybe emergency if I need to attend to. And the next one, I have my VS-17 panel for marking aircraft, marking for Casevac or medevac. Just folds up nice and tight. So this is the Garmin 601. This is the best GPS that I found that works out in our jungles out here in Hawaii, just because we have such major steep terrain and the signal, cell service, and FM for comm just so bad. Your GPS watches don't usually work as well. They give off bad grids. The 601, the 701, the Garmin 401, all of this model works really great out here and will give you an accurate grid. Roughly a new one, the 601, I think we're running like 200 to 300. The 701s are up from the 400 or 500s. And the 401's the older model would probably get 90 to $100. But it's a great investment for especially for what we're doing out here. Next, I have face paint. Of course, we're always going to camo up your neck, anything exposed skin that you're not going to put gloves on or cover your face at all or wear like a neck garter. This face paint particularly is Australian face paint that the Aussies get issued. It works great. It's more like a makeup than it is like our face paint. It's got sun protection in it. Doesn't wipe off easily, but you get one good makeup wipe and it'll come off really good. So this face paint is probably my favorite that I've used.
How do you get Australian issued face paint?
Recently we had some Australian Army soldiers come out. We did an instructor swap with them, and they just tools of the trade. We traded what we like and they traded what they like, and it's just choose and play what we like. Just because you're wearing a camouflage uniform and you're going to be fighting other trained soldiers that are going to be trained to spot out bright colored skin or any kind of flashy objects. So actually blending into the environment is going to allow you to stay hidden and continue succeeding in your mission. Next, in the front, I have 2 mag pouches. They both hold 3 mags each. So I'm going to have 6 mags on my body. And then I would have 1 in the rifle. So a full combat load of 7 mags. It's super easy to store. They all fit perfectly right here. It's super easy.
How many rounds fit in 1 mag?
30. If you are going out with the squad or a bigger element, you can make speedball bags. So you can stuff extra mags enough for rounds in people's rucksacks, and it could be quick deploy as needed. But on an individual soldier, you're taking combat load out of 7 mags. Next, I'm getting into my water. So these are just the 1-quart canteens that we get issued in canteen pouches. And then in one of the pouches, I have a canteen cup. It's a standard issue metal canteen cup. It's great for boiling water. If I weren't to have my jet boil, I could set this in a fire, purify water, or just make coffee in the morning for morale. After that, in the back, this is actually a 2-quart canteen pouch, but I'm using it as my individual first aid kit / my survival kit holder. So I showed you my main survival kit that I would have in my ruck, but I also have a smaller survival kit that goes in my actual personal equipment just in case I lost my ruck for some reason. And then that's also tied down, just a nice little waterproof kit. Same items that we talked about before. And then tied down as well, I have my first aid kit. Just in case this gets dropped out, it's always tied down to me. This is just your normal first aid kit that a new soldier would get issued. 1 tourniquet, folds up nice and neat. You're gonna have needle D for chest decompression, pressure bandages, combs for your eyes if you get your eye poked out. Just small stuff to apply self-aid with, just so you can get yourself to the next role of care. Off to the side right here, this is stuff that I would actually have in my shirt top. So in my pockets in my top, I'd have extra face paint just in case I run out. I would have map markers. I carry 2 blacks. This is what I would write with, and then the white markers, which you can erase with. So the main reason that a soldier would carry markers or paper on a combat mission in the jungle is to do your land navigation or any kind of admin notes for the leadership out there. If you have stuff on there that you don't want the enemy to see, you can write it on there and then erase it off as well. Or you make a mistake, you can erase it as well. So our map right here, it is our map for our training area out here. It's cut in half and it's on front and back of this lamination paper, so I can fold it up nice and tight and put it in a pocket. It's great to keep it waterproof and keep it from getting ruined. Next, I have pace beads. All right, so once again, for land navigation or for patrolling, every 100 meters you take, you move one bead down. That represents 100 meters. There's 9 of these here. So this is 900 meters you've walked. Once you've walked that 1,000 meters, you move the top one down, indicating you walked 1,000, and then you reset your bottom 9. That moved 1,000 meters. And you just keep repeating the process. In 2023, with all our technology, just signal, like I was talking about the GPS, it's a big thing, especially in the jungle, because you're not getting the best signal. So using the old school map, protractor, and your pace beads to do land navigation is probably the best way. And having that overall land navigation skill is going to let you succeed. And then next, I have 2 types of compasses. This is the basic compass that our soldiers get issued. It's a military Loadout compass. It has both mils and degrees on it for navigating or on fire if you needed to. It also has a ruler for your maps. This is one of those northern hemisphere compasses. So if you didn't know, these compasses only work in the northern hemisphere. It's because of the way the magnetic field sits. If you try to use it in the southern hemisphere, it would give you a false reading. So they make global compasses that can be used all across the world. So this is one made by Silva. It works great. It's got a magnifying glass. It has your protractor built into it. It's got your rulers, and it can do anything our compasses can do, but it can use across the world. And it fits really compact in a pocket. So it's probably my favorite. That's why I use and carry out here. All right. And then my overall knife, my fighting knife for survival knife. This was made by Tor, but just a fixed blade that can do any kind of daily general work. We can kill any kind of animals with this. You can build any kind of shelters, or you can fight with it if you need to. I teach our dispatch class, so our traps and snares class, so harvesting animals. So we dispatch chickens, part of our school. I use this for actually doing the dispatch with the guillotine method of taking the chicken's life, or actually gutting and quartering the chicken. And then also I teach the traps and snares class, so building traps and snares and shelters, stuff like that. Just great, sharp daily use knife. And having a fixed blade allows you to hammer into it, so it's not going to break like folding knives would at the hinges. So having a fixed blade is great. So most ferro rods come with a striker to actually throw sparks, but you can use the back of your knife to throw sparks as well. So having a good fixed blade allows you to start any kind of fire like that. And then they make all types of sheaths. This one's just a leather sheath, or they have the Kydex plastic ones. But I like to tie it on my sheath because I have lost knives before, because the sheath just comes off your belt for some reason. The jungle just takes stuff from you. Right now my knives, I don't have a lanyard for my knife, but if I were to go out on a mission or I would go out patrolling, I would tie down my knife as well.
I'm Captain Zachary McCormick. I'm a warfighting instructor at the basic school stationed on Marine Corps Base Quantico, and this is everything that a basically trained officer would be taking on a 72-hour field operation. The basic school is where every commissioned officer or appointed ward officer comes to train after their commission or appointment before going on to the Fleet Marine Force. So starting with what's on the body, from top to bottom, this is our Kevlar. This is our standard helmet that we wear. It allows for additional protection, whether in a firefight or just going through any kind of operation or task that involves heavy equipment. We typically wear one of these. On top of it, I have 550 cord, parachute cord, that allows me to connect this to any kind of optic that'll mount to the front of the Kevlar, whether it be a night vision optic or night vision goggles that would come to the front. It would come with its own standard list gear in order to attach to the front, and then this would attach to the item itself in order to prevent loss in any kind of situation. On the back, we have what are known as cat eyes, which are just illuminated pieces of fabric on the back of it that allow someone to be able to see the back of someone's head, even if there was no other illumination in either the room or outside. Every Marine will have some sort of PPE, whether it be eye protection, which I currently have stored in the pack, or any kind of gloves. This we'll use anytime that we're handling any kind of heavy equipment, but especially when we're using any kind of weapon system, whether it be our standard issued M4, M16 rifles, IAR M27 rifles, or even heavier machine guns. On my body is our standard issued plate carrier. This is the Gen 2. This is more commonly seen throughout the Marine Corps. In front of it, we have what's known as a kangaroo pouch, which is really just a sewn-on pouch that comes standard with it. It allows me to keep things such as my note-taking gear, any kind of notebook that I may or may want. Also allows me to keep any kind of maps, any other kind of laminated pieces of paper, or any other kind of tools that I may need, similar to this knife that we have here. This one was gifted to me by my father for, I believe, for my 21st birthday. It has additional paracord or 550 cord looped around it in case I ever need to use it to build a shelter or use it for any kind of emergency situation. It has a serrated edge that allows me to cut through rope more effectively, and then a sharper knife and then the point at the end. I try to teach that every Marine has some kind of knife, multi-tool, or something. It's just handful in any kind of situation you may find yourself in. Up here is the hose for my hydration system. It attaches to the back of my flak with an external hydration pouch in order to have a water source on me whenever I may need it. Also on my body is our standard issue gas mask. It allows me to keep it on my person to be able to pull it out at a moment's notice. It attaches in my face. I clean it out. This is in order to be able to train against any potential CBRN threat. CBRN being chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear. You'll see in front I have kind of cami netting in order to be able to camouflage and conceal it when we go on the tree line, when I may be wearing it, maybe not, but it's just in order to break any kind of line of sights, any other kind of shapes that are unnatural to the environment, and allows me to have a better concealed position regardless of whether or not I'm wearing it. Taking it off, you'll see that it's actually two different packs that are attached together by clips that we have here. On top of what's known as an assault pack or a day pack, I would use this typically to store any additional gear that I couldn't fit any in my pack naturally, but I would also use this for any kind of 24-hour or shorter patrol or field operation. Inside, I usually keep an additional water system. This is a smaller water system we use for physical training or even shorter patrols. I also have an administrative pouch right here that allows me to contain any miscellaneous stuff. In here, I have what's known as the TBS Student Field Guide. Any other knowledge that we've taught here at the basic school can usually be found within this guide. This is just used as a quick reference manual. I also keep additional tools, knives, multi-tools, things like that in here. On top of a red lens headlamp. We usually try to keep it on as a red lens. That way it just minimizes our signature if we ever need to use it. If I'm using heavier weapons or if it's a range or any kind of thing, I usually carry extra ear protection, ballistic eye pro. It needs to be ballistically rated, can't be any kind of reflective surface. It's just not gonna protect your eyes if any kind of shrapnel or ammunition will come flying your way. 550 cord, I try to keep at least 50 feet of it cut into different kind of strands when possible, and then an additional roll in case I need to build a shelter, tie something to another object. I have additional pouches so I can still carry additional water sources on top of the 3 liter camel pack that I carry with me. Typically, wherever a Marine goes, they will usually take 3 to 5 liters of water just on their person. Speaking of water sources, this is the standard issued canteen. It'll fit within a canteen pouch. And then we often use Nalgene's as well as additional water sources if we want to take more than what was standard issued. We always coach using some kind of tape or other additional camouflage. Kept in here is usually where I keep my food. That way if I need any kind of food like quickly on the go without having to pull anything else out of my pack. Here's a meal ready to eat, or MRE, that has everything. I think it has roughly about 1,300 calories per standard MRE. In case to here we'll have everything that'll be needed for a normal meal, whether it be everything from your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fats included in here, as well as some additional sugars to keep morale up. On top of that, it has its own heating system in order to heat up the main meals and other things contained in here, where you just add water, slip it in a pouch, and it allows it to, a chemical reaction to happen that'll allow it to heat up. Alternatively to that, you'll commonly see these around the armed forces, and this is a jet boil. I do not have a gas can with me, but it'd be set up similar like that. The pilot light would ignite the gas in order to heat up whatever kind of liquid or material I would have in here. And it just allows me to heat my food a little bit more conveniently. Not everyone will bring those out to the field just because it takes up a significant amount of space in your pack. On this side, I usually keep like a hygiene kit of something Similar to this way it's kept all neat, keep it organized in the pack. I'll usually bring things like sunscreen, ibuprofen, foot spray, and able to maintain my feet if were wet or cold to keep my feet dry. I usually keep shaving kit as well as baby wipes in there and toothbrush or any kind of ointment that I may need when I'm out in the field. That way, if I have any kind of like quick cuts or bruises or I need to wipe off cami paint real quick, I don't need a corm or any kind of external support. I have that stuff on my person. I can keep myself in the fight for much longer. Up at the top is what we call the brain pouch. Usually what I store in here are either extra pieces of equipment or quick replenishable things I need to have, like extra batteries for a headlamp or my night vision optics. Colder weather gloves, so these are issued typically for the cold weather environments. You can still operate your weapon systems with these. They also come with glove inserts that go along with them. It just keeps your hands colder, prevents hypothermia when it's all together. As well as any other kind of additional eye pro. These are more of a goggle set of eye protection. This is usually better if you are operating with aircraft because it seals to your face and prevents any kind of wind or gusts to fly up to your face if you're trying to board an aircraft or work around aircraft. Here's a field first aid kit, otherwise known as an IFAC. Inside is where I'll keep tourniquets. It's where I'll also keep Combat gauze, H bandages. I've also taken a quick reflective blanket. This is a good use to be able to use for signaling, but also if it's subdued within a sleeping system, which we'll get to later, an additional source to be able to retain heat in the event of emergency, or I just need an extra warming layer. This is either known as a fighting load carrier or load bearing vest. It's the same nomenclature either way for the same system, but this allows me to wear something that's a little bit lighter, a little bit more expeditionary if I don't want to, or if I'm working in an environment that allows me to not have to use a plate carrier, or if I'm trying to go lighter or stealthier in a given mission, but it'll zip up and allows me to carry anything on my flak that I normally have, whether it be a magazine pouch that'll contain 2 magazines. They're standard issue to issue 3 per Marine for 6 total magazines. That's standard issue across the Fleet Marine Force. And 2 mag pouches for the M67 fragmentation grenade. But I could attach it in MOLLE on. Also, if I'm ever trying to operate in an environment where I need a little bit more stealth rather than force protection, I'm allowed to do so. This also will separate. And then if I undo these straps here, it'll turn into its own individual belts. We commonly call it a war belt. The reason I would do this is if I wanted to take any other additional items that I could MOLLE, and by MOLLE I mean attach it through these kind of straps here, and it would allow me to carry any of those pieces of gear on either this war belt or this plate carrier, or even on some places on the pack itself. I will also carry at least 2 smaller waterproofing bags. What I'll usually keep in here is any other kind of changes of clothes, warming layers as well. The normal warming layers we issue, this is a beanie that works as a type of soft cover in colder environments. It covers both my ears as well as the front of my forehead. Proper use of the uniform covering the hair in front of my face as well. Also, as far as other warming layers, this is what's known as the waffle top. This is supposed to go along with your base warming layer that you would have with your uniform that you'd be wearing.
Does that keep you warm?
I think it keeps me warm. At the very least, it allows me to survive when it gets colder like this. But this will typically use as the second or third layer when you're wearing your clothes. This will be serving more this type of material, or known as the frog material. You can see by the logo here. This will serve as more of the undergarment layer, and that purpose is not really to keep you warm. It's more to keep moisture and everything wicked off your body. So if you're moving around, you're sweating, and then you stop, this is meant to be able to wick that away off of your body, and that way you have the other warming layers to keep you warm, but you're not staying cold and damp. This is in order to be able to prevent that. Both of these come in top and bottoms. As you'll see here, this is the frog top. Just a long sleeve shirt of the same material. And then these are the waffle bottoms. These will go underneath your normal camis. So you'll have the base layer, which is usually like the shirt or the frog material like we see here. And then it'll go the waffle material, and then you'll have your normal camouflage Marpat uniform on top of it. And then additional to that, this is our waterproofed rain gear. These are Gore-Tex material. These are the bottom, these are the trousers. And then this is the Gore-Tex jacket top.
These you've used these in the field. Are they waterproof? Do they work?
They're waterproofed enough to where any of the clothing I wear underneath it will usually not get wet unless I get like submerged in water. But this is pretty effective in keeping me dry, and therefore when it gets colder out like it is now, it's gonna prevent me from developing hypothermia. It also traps heat inside. So if I wear this, it allows something, if I'm already damp, to help me dry off a little bit quicker. But this is something akin to the fighting load carrier, which you already saw. It has additional pouches. This also is where I will keep things like my additional map gear. It allows me to keep maps in here as well, similar to the kangaroo pouch that's on the fighting load carrier. It has additional pieces on the side as well for knives, and an additional pouch here to keep other kind of, I usually keep writing utensils, but again, batteries, additional flashlights, just additional stuff I can carry. This is the E-tool or entrenching tool. I can take it out, unfold it, and then tighten it. Typically keep it laid out like here, or I can unscrew it, keep it at a 90-degree angle, and it makes it easier for me to actually dig trenches if I use it in this kind of motion, rather than as a normal spade that's seen before. On the edges, you'll see that it is serrated. It allows me to chop through any kind of roots, any kind of rope, or saw through any kind of branches and whatnot if I need to build a shelter or dig a fighting position. With this, I could dig an effective fighting skirmisher's trench, which is a hole that's about 2 of my Kevlars wide and then about 6 feet long, or however long the individual fighting in it is.
How long does that take you to dig a skirmish position?
So a hasty skirmishers, if I don't care like about the dimensions or keep to uniform, I can make an effective one in roughly 10 to 20 minutes. Now moving on to the sleeping system, we really have 2 options issued with the Marine Corps that will always come in some kind of waterproofing bag. The first part is the external layer of it. This is what's known as a bivy sack. It's a waterproof sack that unzips. It has a netting here to be able to see out of or be able to zip up, especially if it gets colder or I want to prevent any kind of bugs or anything from getting inside of it. I can zip this up and it'll be a sleeping system that goes all the way and encompasses my entire body. This is what's commonly known as a whoopee, but it's the internal sleeping system. It's the smaller portion of it. And we also have the brown bag of the sleeping system. This is our medium weight sleeping system. The way that this will work is I'll have this already unzipped and laid out. I'll stuff this inside of the actual bivy sack. Or alternatively, if it's hotter and I don't want the full insulation from this, I can just use this. And when I lay inside of it, I'll zip up this system and then I'll just lay inside of it fully zipped up.
How does that work? Pretty well?
It insulates me very well, but it does it a lot better if I use this mat that we have here attached to the bottom. If I lay this out, it creates a buffer between me, my sleeping system, and the ground. With this on top of it, it insulates me from the losing heat through my back when I'm laying on the ground. This is effective in keeping my stuff waterproofed. If I have it all in the bag, I can undo it and lay it over my gear, tuck it in. All my stuff is now relatively waterproofed. With it, I can also alternatively use the bungees on the end of it, as well as either tent stakes I can bring out with me, or sticks or something I can improvise, or 550 cord in order to be able to attach it to other trees and whatnot in order to be able to create a hasty shelter with it. We also have an alternative sleeping bag, otherwise known as the black bag. This comes with its own separate waterproofing system. The reason why we call it the black bag, it's black. This is much more insulated than the brown bag we saw earlier, but it works exactly the same way with the bivy sack. We'll put it in so it's waterproofed. This can keep me This can keep me warm through freezing temperatures. So officers will typically take the M4 carbine rifle, or as you've seen in training here, the M16 rifle. They also have the M27, which is our new automatic rifle system. So this is the Model 3 Hotel Standard Issue compass that we issue at the basic school and a standard in the Fleet Marine Force. Here, if you see the face of it, it has all different markers to have 2 different kind of denominations of how it's measuring the distance, whether it be degrees, 0 to 360, or in mils, 0 to 6400, which is used for coloring artillery fire. This item right here that I'm spinning on the face of the compass is known as the bezel ring. You'll notice the illuminated piece here that allows me to see it at nighttime. It has nuclear material in it that allows it to illuminate regardless of the conditions that we're in. What this allows me to do is to be able to navigate at night. Each one of the clicks here denominates 3 degrees as I turn it relative to starting on 0. Also part of it is a glass here. And then if you look very closely, you'll see a string that goes across the center plate on the compass. What this allows me to do is to adjust it up like so, bring the compass to my cheek, and be able to call what's called shooting an azimuth. This allows me to sight in my compass, and as long as I look down at the eyepiece on the compass, match it up with the degrees to the line here, I know exactly that I'm moving at a certain degree. So like, let's say if I wanted to shoot an azimuth of 20 degrees and walk 20 degrees from where I'm at, I would line it up to 20 degrees on the compass, shoot it up, align it with an object that matches with 20 degrees, and then I would just move towards that object. The thumb ring allows me to better stabilize the compass as I'm using it. And then here is a scale that allows me to make measurements on my map. If the scale is 1 with every 50,000 meters, it means 1 meter to the map and scale would equal 50,000 meters if it's zoomed in. If I had 1 in 25,000, it means the map would be a lot more zoomed in. And every item here is what we use in order to teach lieutenants to train to the standard and have success in the Fleet Marine Force.
So you're all about packing things back up as soon as possible.
Yes, so like as it has it out right now, we're doing it for demonstration purposes, but me taking something out and not immediately putting it back in my pack it's going against the training that we have here. Because like, for example, if all of a sudden a firefight broke out, all of my stuff's out, and now I'm having to worry about either leaving it or taking it like I should and dealing with combat.
This is a M4A1 carbine, magazine fed, gas operated. As you can see, my barrel's a little short. When it comes to close quarter battles, it's easier to get around corners, and also with tactical security details, it's a whole lot easier to conceal these than it would be a normal barrel M4. Hi, I'm A1C Devin, Dagger team member at the 27th Special Operations Security Forces Squadron at Cannon Air Force Base, and this is everything I carry with me on a mission. So this right here is our battle belt. This is what we would consider our line 1. As you can see, it's a 2-piece system. We have our actual belt right here, and then you see myself wearing an inner belt, and it just velcros on here. It's a Cobra belt, so it just snaps into place, and then it also has a D-ring right here. So starting from here, going to my left side, my D-ring, I have my aircraft tie-in. It has a quick release here, so if I just pull this, it'll quick release from here. And then I have it routing it to the back of my belt. I have it secured with 550 cord right here. This is the actual part I would tie into the aircraft. I can quickly put it on that D-ring as well, and then I have another carabiner I can secure it from there. Going on, I just have a little wiring ring where I can attach chem lights if need be for the mission. That's just secured onto the D-ring as well. Going to the left, I have 2 M18 mags. We usually carry 3, 1 in the actual M18 and then 2 here on the side on our belts. So here I have my ready mag, where my M4 magazine would be. Moving on, right behind it I have my multi-tool. It has multi-functional capabilities. Actually, if my M4 jams, this tool right here, I can ungem my M4 with that. Has pliers, has a bunch of knives, has screwdrivers on there. I can fix just about anything with this multi-tool here. This pouch here, we're really big on multi-purpose pouches. So as you can see, I held my M4 and my multi-tool. If you open this up, I have the capability of holding smokes, grenade, whatever else I need to stuff in here. But I always have a notepad with me to take notes. Continuing, I have sheets in here. So any military reporting that I forget in the heat of the moment, I can always reference this, and then it's right there. And then you always want to have a 9-line on you. So
What's that?
So a 9-line medevac, if anybody needs to get medically evac, it's a military report that you up channel so that casualty can get uprouted. It relays information of how many patients, what the care that the patient could potentially care, if there's security at the site being picked up or any sort of that matter. This right here is a carabiner. I talked about it a little bit. Currently have fast rope mags. So if we need to do fast rope insertions from a helicopter, these are the gloves you would use on top of our shooting gloves, just so we don't burn our hands going down that rope. This is a dump pouch. I currently have a water bottle in there. It's 32 ounces, but that's typically what I keep in there. You can also obviously dump your magazines in there, snacks, wrappers, whatever you need to dump and have on your person, you can keep here. I always personally have mine open just because I always need it. Have a knife. This is kind of just in case both my weapon systems go down, I can still remain in the fight. So right here I have my M18 holster. M18, it's on safe, there's nothing in here. This is a SIG M18. If I don't have my M4, this is gonna be, I guess you could say, my primary weapon I'd use. But if my M4 runs out of ammo, I'm gonna transition to my M18. My M4 jams and I can't fix it at that moment, I'm gonna transition to my M18 here. Moving on, I have a tourniquet right here. It's just secured by some bungee cord. So I have a tourniquet, and then I have a red chem stick, which we mark whenever there's a tourniquet. We place a tourniquet on somebody, we'll mark it with a red chem stick just in case somebody comes by. It lets the other person know that that person has a tourniquet on them. The tourniquet would be placed to somebody, so I'll do it on myself just for show. High and tight, right? So tourniquet, and then with this excess material, this is where you can secure the tourniquet. So after it's tightened, then you have all this excess material that you can mess around with, and then you can just Velcro it in there, or you can take this chem stick and just put it in one of the pockets in our uniforms for our limbs. And then lastly, I just have my shooting gloves, some personal protection equipment. They just serve the purpose of protecting my hands so that it doesn't get burned by brass or I fall down and don't scratch my hands. So next is our plate carrier, what we consider our line 2. So we'll start from top to bottom here in the front plate. So off the top, right in this little pouch I have here, I just have a non-permanent marker. The sheets I showed you earlier, I can write on that with this. And then I also have frog tape, which is just basically duct tape compact like this. It's usable for multiple occasions. Going down, you see these two things secured onto my plate carrier here. So these are my PTTs, push to talks. So we have our headsets set up to this and then to our radios. So anytime I need to communicate with my teammate, I can just press one of these PTTs and it'll signal for me to transmit over the radio. As you can see, I have two. So I have the ability to run 2 different frequencies on 2 different radios. Going down, we have our magazines, our M4 magazines. I personally have 3 up front. Going down into our admin pouch, just miscellaneous stuff. We're always gonna have red light capability with us when it gets dark. For us, we put this around our neck, so anytime it's getting dark, we're gonna put this around our neck so we can always have red light with us. So red light is your eyes, it's easier for you to adjust compared to any other light. If you're working, let's say with a patient that has a gunshot wound, you would switch over to blue light just because the blood is easier to see with blue light, but we stick with red light because it's easier for our eyes to adjust. Next thing's a neck gaiter / face covering. In our line of work, you never know when media is going to show around, and we don't want our faces to be revealed, so we'll just throw this on. Also, if it's really dusty coming out of a plane or a helicopter, it's not fun getting dust in your face, so we'll throw this on as well. Always keep a lighter on you, right? It could be a survival situation, or you just have some loose ends that you can need to burn off your uniform. Lighter will get that done. Again, I have a roll of duct tape. Duct tape fixes many things. And then I also have rubber bands just secured by the little alligator clip right here. And that is it for my admin pouch. If we keep going down, it's down here. This is our blowout kit, right? So each person's supposed to run an IFAC, an individual first aid kit. So they're supposed to run that, and they're supposed to have a certain amount of things within that IFAC. If they don't, this is something we could work out of. So if they have any missing items, for example, an MPA. So this would be usual when a patient's not breathing properly through their mouth. You put this through their nose, and it allows air to flow into their lungs. This would be a decompression needle. So if there's unequal rise and fall of the chest, this is something you could use to fix that, I guess you could say. As you can see, you have another tourniquet. We have a rule of thumb. We always have 3 tourniquets. So far you've seen 2 out of 3. You have medical gloves. You have lube to get that MPA into the nose that we talked about earlier. Oh yeah, combat gauze. So to treat any gunshot wounds, you just pack it into that gunshot. And then we have a chest seal. So if someone were to get in the chest, this is something you would place over it. Going back to the radios, as you can see, I have 2 radio pouches. Like I stated earlier, I have the ability to run 2 radios. I'm not always gonna run that, but if I don't run it, this can just easily be stored away. As you see over here, I have a radio. My PTT was attached to it. This is a 152 Alpha. The difference between the Alpha and the normal is the Alpha has the ability to have GPS, where the 152 does not. So moving on to my left side of my cummerbunds, I have this pouch here, which allows me to store more magazines if I need to carry that on the mission, depending. Or I can store smaller water bottles, smokes, grenades, whatever. Like I said, we're really big on multi-purpose pouches. In here, I have chem sticks. These are used to mark different things. So if we're not making entrance into a building, we'll mark it with red. Let them know, let the team know that we're not entering in that building, or if the building's clear, we'll throw a different color on the floor. Also, I have a compass in here for land navigation. And then I have a protractor as well for land navigation. I have a grenade pouch back here. For us, the main purpose is not to hold a grenade pouch. This is actually meant to hold a 152 radio battery. So if we're going on a prolonged mission and I know I'm gonna need an extra battery, I'm just gonna throw that in here. I can run a grenade on it, but we typically don't. As you can see here, I have another tourniquet. Like I said, rule of thumb for us is 3. It's just secured by bungee cord like it was on my belt. Moving on to the back of the plate, I like to keep it pretty slick. Some other guys like to put other things back here. I have the ability to do that. Personally, I just don't like doing it, so I keep it slick. As you can see, I have these flexi cups secured in the back, so anytime we have a puck, which would be a person under custody, we have the ability to keep them under custody, handcuff them, and then put a blacked out goggles over them so they don't know where they're at. Moving on, we have tubular nylon. This has multiple purposes. The way I have set it up right now, as you can see, it's secured by rubber bands, so my teammates can just snap that off without having to pull off a bungee cord or anything like that. They pull this off and then it extends about 10-15 feet, and I can get pulled from a distance if I need be, or this can make a hasty litter as well. So if anybody needs to get medevaced and we don't have a litter, then this is something that we could potentially use to get the medevaced.
What is a litter?
A litter would be a equipment that you would use on a person that can't walk, that we could get them exfilled out of that location. Keep on going. I have another magazine pouch. Again, big on multi-purpose. I can store another up to 2 other M4 magazines. And here, I just have a clear eye pro when we go shooting on the range. And that is it for my plate carrier line 2. Moving on to my helmet, what we consider our line 3. This is an Ops Corps ballistic helmet, standard issue. As you can see up front, we have NVGs, night vision goggles. These are PVS 15s. They're a little outdated by military standards, but they get the job done. As you can see, we have a mount here that allows us to adjust, flip up, and then adjust according to each person. So these are adjusted to myself right now. Moving on to the left, you see I have a light secured by Velcro. You can attach it to this railing right here, but I personally like having the option of being able to take it off and off. This has red, blue, and white light capability. On the back here, we have our counterweight right there. So inside here, there's our actual counterweights secured by elastic in there. And then we also have extra batteries that you can run in the back of our counterweight, and it adds a little extra weight. And on top, we have a Hellstar. It's an IR strobe. It can do constant IR or flashing IR. Not only that, but it can also do green light. So that's constant, and that's gonna be strobing. And then on the right side, just go all American flag here. Along with my helmet, some guys attach their pelletors to their helmet. Me personally, I don't like doing that because sometimes we don't have to wear a helmet when doing training and missions. So pelletors, like I said, these connect, as you can see on the back. These connect to the back, or excuse me, these connect to our PTTs, which was on my plate carrier, and then those PTTs connect to the radios. So then we have communications with our team or whoever else needs to. These are also Bluetooth capable, so we don't even need radios if you're within the distance. This is a M4A1 carbine, magazine fed, gas operated. Has safe, semi-auto, and fully automatic. In the back, I just have a standard buttstock. As you can see, my barrel's a little short is because I have a Mark 18 upper. Just because of some of the missions that we run, it's easier to run a shortened barrel than a standard length M4. When it comes to close quarter battles, it's easier to get around corners, and also with tactical security details, it's a whole lot easier to conceal these than it would be a normal barrel M4. As you can see, I have an ambidextrous charging handle. I have a 3x magnifier. I have an EOTech for my sight. I have a standard issue PEG 15 up front, and then I have a light that can run IR or white light. And if we're doing a longer extended mission, longer foot movement, where speed is our security, we're not gonna be wearing our plate carriers just because it's gonna slow us down. So we're gonna be using our chest rigs here. Everything mission essential that's on my plate carrier, I can transfer onto my chest rig. Ooh. And this is gonna be our RUC, our 72-hour bag. We are self-sustained up to 94 hours. So day of employment plus another 72 hours on top of that. And this is what we would carry if we were dropped with one of those missions. So we're definitely gonna have extra uniforms. We're gonna have MREs, so meals ready to eat. Cold weather gear, depending where we're going. Hot or jet boils to cook our food, because those MREs heaters kind of suck. Snacks, and then like bed down clothes, definitely sleeping bags, tents if we need to, depending on the mission. And this is everything I would carry with me on a mission. So altogether, weight-wise, you're looking about anywhere from 50 to 150 pounds, depending on what you're packing.
For the white shirt, cadets can get to have fun with the sleeves. You can buy a normal white shirt and pick a pattern that you would like to have be put on your sleeves, and just send it to a regular alteration shop and they will put the sleeves on for you. I'm Cadet First Class Motaz Ahmed, and I'm the Vice Wing Commander at the United States Air Force Academy, and these are all the different uniforms issued to cadets by the Academy. The United States Air Force Academy is a military service academy, and its job is to develop officers of character for both the United States Air Force and the United States Space Force. First up, we got the OCPs, or the Operational Camouflage Pattern Uniform. So this uniform is worn by cadets 4 to 5 times a week, and its purpose is designed for durability and while still maintaining the comfortable aspect of having a uniform. Cadets wear this uniform whenever they have field training or any military training exercises. First up on our right arm, we got the American flag patch, followed by the either the squadron patch, or because I'm on wing staff, the wing staff patch, which says Valor to Victory. We got your last name on your right chest, and in the middle we have the cadet rank. So freshmen don't have rank yet, so they don't have anything, and upperclassmen, they have different rank. My rank is cadet colonel, so we have 6 bars. Next up, we got the United States Air Force patch, which is on your left chest. On your left shoulder, you have your class year. I'm going to be graduating in 2023, so I have 23 on my left shoulder. And your last patch will be the United States Air Force Headquarters patch. Next up, we got the pants. These pants have many pockets that cadets can use to put any of their equipment that they will be using for the field training or the military training that they will be doing this day. For this pants, cadets they wear it with this belt, which is the spice brown belt. So, in addition to all the different pockets the pants have, we have the pen pockets that cadets can use to store different pens or pencils that they can use to write down on the field or during their training exercise. Additionally, for this uniform, the first 3 classes, the first 3 years, you get to wear the patrol cap, which is just a simple cap that is spice brown and has your name on the back of it. And your senior year, seniors get to wear the blue beret with the prop and wings on it. So finally, we got the coyote brown boots that cadets wear with the OCPs. And the reason we have boots is that cadets can wear it for all the different terrains that they will be having their military training exercises in. So next up, we got the PT uniforms, or the physical training uniforms. This uniform, on the right chest, we have your last name, and under that, we have your graduation year. So again, 23. And on the left part of your chest, we got the Air Force Academy logo, followed by a big Air Force Academy logo on the back of it. And that's for the jacket. Under the jacket, we have the white PC, or physical training t-shirt. Again, we have the USAFA, and over it, we have your last name and your class year that you'll be graduating in. And again, on the back, we have the Air Force Academy logo. Next up, we got the PT, the physical training pants, which is just simple pants that cadets, again, will be wearing for their physical training or PE or physical training classes. Lastly, we got the athletic shoes that cadets wear with this uniform. Cadets must keep it into a neutral color and still provide ankle support so they can be performing their physical exercises in a safe manner. Coming up next is the flight suit uniform. This is a one-piece. And right here on our right shoulder, we have again, the wing patch, or squadrons will have their squadron patch. On the right part of the chest, we have the Air Force Academy headquarters patch. So on the left part of the chest, we have your name patch, which says your name, USAFA cadet, and your class year. And lastly, we have the American patch on the left part of the shoulder. And this uniform is used whenever cadets are doing any of the airmanship programs offered at USAFA. The 4 main ones are soaring program, the parachutist program, the powered flight program, and lastly, the remote piloted aircraft program. So what's special about this uniform is flame resistant. We have many different pockets that cadets can use to put different things in while they're performing their aviation exercises. One, we have pockets that cadets can put their squadron patch in addition to different leg pockets that cadets can place different notebooks or different writing utensils that they can take notes while they're flying. And lastly, we have a calf pocket that they can put their flight caps in. In addition to that, we have the pencil pocket that cadets can put pencils or pens in to just for quick access while they're flying. And worn with this uniform is the flight cap. Next up will be the service dress. The service dress is one of our most formal uniforms that cadets wear during interviews or during formal events. So first we got the shoulder boards. Because I'm a cadet colonel, we have this rank, which is ground, cloud, horizon, 4 thick bars followed by 2 stars because I'm the vice wing commander. Next up, we got the US insignia followed by the prop and wings. On the right part of the chest, we have your last name followed by any badges because I have the German proficiency badge. This is where you'll place it. On the left part of the chest, we have any aviation wings. This is the soaring wings because I soloed and I have the private pilot license. I get to have a star. In addition to that, we have the parachutist wing, which is offered in our Airmanship 490 course that cadets can take in the academic year or in the summer. After that, we have 3 ribbons. We have the National Defense Ribbon, the Global War on Terrorism Ribbon, and the Air Force Training Ribbon. And lastly, we have any award pins that you received in your time in the semester at your time at USAFA. And this is the superintendent pin, which has the academic Dean Star, followed by the Commandant's Military Reef, followed lastly with the athletic lightning bolt. This is the blue shirt that we wear under the service jacket. It will have everything, all the pins and all the awards that will be worn on the service jacket. We got the blue pants that can be worn with or without the jacket. You wear them with a belt, and they only have 2 side pockets and 2 back pockets. So the blues uniform is worn at least 2 times a week, and with the service coat, you can wear it whenever there are formal events or special interviews that we'll be going through. Just the blue shirt and the pants can be worn anytime. Additionally, with this uniform, you have the option to either 1, wear the flight cap, or 2, the service wheel cap. We have the Air Force mess dress. This uniform is worn for very formal events such as 100th night, ring dance, or graduation. This uniform can also be worn by graduates when they're getting married. For the jacket, we have the different rank that cadets can wear, or once they commission, they can put active duty officer ranks. For ribbons and medals, we have cadets can wear any kind of the different kind of medals that they have earned. And for the white shirt, cadets can get to have fun with the sleeves. You can buy a normal white shirt and pick a pattern that you would like to have put on your sleeves and just send it to a regular alteration shop and they will put the sleeves on for you. Lastly, we have the pants, and these are a special set of pants that must be worn with suspenders, and they have 2 side pockets. Finally, we have the parade dress. Cadets wear this uniform whenever there's a parade, such as the Founders Day Parade or graduation and Graduation Day Parade. For this uniform, cadets wear their rank and prop and wings on the collar. And lastly, for the jacket, they wear yellow sashes for if they're going to the Air Force, or a gray sash if they're going to be commissioned to the Space Force. And only seniors get to wear a sash. The pants for this parade dress are very unique. They come in with a built-in suspender system that cadets wear under the jacket. And it has no pockets because you're not supposed to have anything in your pockets during parades. Cadets wear the white wheel cap with this uniform in addition to white gloves and the saber if they are a senior in a leadership position. For shoes, we have the black core frames. These shoes are worn with service dress, the mess dress, and the parade dress. And this uniform is the only uniform that is academy specific. And that's everything a cadet is issued at the Air Force Academy.
Fire mission! Fire mission! Joint Chief, USD, charge 2, would it be verified? Stand by, fire! That's complete.
Hi, my name's Staff Sergeant Jeremiah Driscoll, Rock Hill, South Carolina. I'm one of the instructors here at Charlie Battery 178 FA here on Fort Steele, Oklahoma. Here to give a quick explanation of some of the personal items I would carry to a 72-hour field exercise. Starting with my M4 carbine, we carry these for training purposes to prepare ourselves for combat situations. Go ahead and get that training mentality. Moving along from top to bottom, I have my advanced combat helmet. Because I am an instructor, I have this illuminating band to identify myself as an instructor out here on the firing point, so that trainees and anybody that approaches the range or the firing point recognizes me as an instructor. They can come talk to me. Above the illumination band, I have my battle roster. It has my initials, last four of my social security, my last name, and also my blood type for any combat situations if that was become necessary. On the back of my advanced combat helmet, I have these cat eyes. They also illuminate under night vision goggles, or our NVGs. And then on the front, we have an NVG carrier, our base plate right here to attach the NVGs for night occupations or night missions. Moving down, I have my eye protection. These are the ballistic approved eye protection for when we are in the field, so I don't get anything in my eyes and cause any blur damage to my vision, especially when shooting howitzers and artillery. A lot of dust and debris can fly up and get me in the face, so I have eye protection to protect me from that. Moving down to my plate carrier, I have plates in my plate carrier to protect me during a fire mission. God forbid if we ever have any kind of incident. We have our plate carriers to protect us and all of our internal bodily organs and everything. Attached to my plate carrier, which I would have on me during mission, is my approved gloves to protect my hands. We use a lot with our hands, whether working with ammo or the howitzers themselves, operating the breech, even down to my weapon, my personal weapon. We want to protect our hands to accomplish a mission and go home safe at the end of the day. So on the front of my plate carrier, you'll notice I have these magazine pouches. They're empty at the time because I am in a training exercise. And then on my left, I have a pouch. You can put your water canteen in there. I don't have a water canteen. I have my Camelback for my hydration source. Probably the number one thing we tell soldiers and trainees, always have a water source on them at all times to prevent dehydration. Here in Oklahoma, in Fort Sill, home of the artillery, it gets really hot. For when we are firing the howitzers, I use my ear protection to save my ears. I do have another set that goes over my ears for a dual protection. They're approved for the decibels that these howitzers create. However, I don't wear those as an instructor because I like to be able to maintain communication with my soldiers and trainees at all times, make sure they can hear me. And then I'm also hearing the Fire Direction Center in case of any firing incidents or anything that I need to stop firing at that moment. Total noise canceling, so I can't hear anything. So when I'm trying to communicate with trainees, that can become an issue, but they are great for ear protection. So we do provide the subdued flags for these training exercises. They're different than the garrison colored flags that you would see on the installation soldiers wearing. Our trainees and our instructors, when we do go to the field, we try to make it as realistic as we can and get the trainees' mentality for when they're in the force comm units or downrange, even down to the uniforms. The Army authorizes several types and brands of boots. Every soldier, in my opinion, is different on the boots that they like to wear for durability, whether they're running, rucking, or just mission boots, like they're operating daily in their boots. 12 years of service, I've been able to go through a lot of boots. The tread on them is very good, so I have low slippage. I don't fall a lot. They also offer a lot of ankle support, so when we are moving rounds, heavy rounds, or operating the howitzers, I know they're not gonna fold over and cause an injury to myself. I use them, I prefer them. I don't have much to say bad about them. They've been good boots. One of the tools that I use and highly recommend when going to a 72 or any field exercise with the field artillery unit is a multi-tool. Multi-tool has multiple tools on it to include the pliers and small screwdrivers, knives, things like that, because whether I need to work on my personal weapon, take anything apart for cleaning or maintenance, or even the maintenance on the howitzer, these become very handy, and I utilize mine a lot. The second thing I would highly recommend is a watch. Everything we do in the Army operates on a timeline all the way down to our fire missions, and just a simple watch can come in handy. Yes, please, something I know how to talk about. One of the howitzers we have here at the FA AIT schoolhouse on Fort Sill, Oklahoma is the Mike 119er Alpha 3. This howitzer shoots a 105 millimeter projectile. So this weapon is a digital weapon system. We can shoot it digitally. What that means is the Fire Direction Center can send us digital fire missions through a computer screen, and that is a fire control computer. This FCC was basically a big fancy iPad that tells the chief everything he needs to safe and verify and what exactly he's shooting on that fire mission. The section chief will receive that fire mission on the FCC, and it also shows right here on the gunner's display screen for the gunner to be able to see the deflection and quadrant. Our deflections are numbers that will basically tell the gunner if he needs to, what we call traversing. We don't say left and right, he call it traversing left or traversing right with this hand wheel right here. We also have an elevation hand wheel. The quadrant, which are numbers that tell us whether we need to go up or down, and in artillery, we use the terms elevation and depression. We use the elevation hand wheel to go up, to elevate, or down to depress. That piece? Oh crap, I hate this piece. So this is our degraded primary aiming reference. This is the M2 collimator. So if you look inside here, which is very difficult to see unless you're looking through the gunner sight that's on the howitzer, there's a lot of numbers. There's hundreds of numbers left and right of a vertical crosshair.
I mean, I'm not seeing numbers. I'm seeing like, oh, weird. Okay, maybe those are numbers. They're really small, right?
Yeah, there's hundreds of them in there.
Wow.
And that gunner and the soldier who is setting this up are bringing those numbers in to match. This gunner sight is basically a fancy telescope. The gunner will utilize this scope and look through that collimator, and he'll be able to line those numbers up. Once they line the numbers up, the chief will verify all the data is safe and ready to fire, and then we will place the weapon from safe to fire and fire the howitzer. So underneath it, we just have the cover. We face the cover like this because of the concussions from the howitzer firing. Dust and debris, rocks will kick up. We put the cover in like that, not like that, because you don't want to pull it out and there be a big rock in there, and then you dump it on your collimator, causing it unserviceable. So the Mike 119er Alpha 3 is a towed howitzer. It's a light towed howitzer, and it can be slung from a helicopter or also dropped from an airplane. Being a towed howitzer, we are able to hook it up to a Humvee and tow it to our firing point. To hook the howitzer to the Humvee, we would remove what we have, the hand spike here. This is just so the trainees and the soldiers have better control of the howitzer. They're able to move this howitzer with ease. This is the lightest howitzer that is in the Army right now. 2 soldiers can pick this up from the hand spike and do a complete 360 degree with it. If we were to hook it up to the Humvee, we would remove this pin. We would set that out of the way. And then we have our lunette here, often called like a hitch or, you know, a trailer hitch, but in artillery we have a lunette. They would hook it up to the pintle on the rear of the Humvee, would it be able to drive off. And I noticed this howitzer is sitting on a big metal base plate. We call that our firing platform, and it's held on there by these large steel cables, which we call stays. These firing stays, it secures this howitzer to that firing platform. It has 2 legs that come down from the left and right tires. Those are called the suspension lockout system. The suspension lockout system keeps the howitzer in place during firing, and it also reduces recoil on the howitzer, so we're not bumping all the way back across the firing point with every round that we shoot. So right here to the left of the gunner seat, we have the gunner sight box. We can't move the howitzer with this sight on, so the gunner would take this sight off, remove it, and place it in his sight box. Also in the sight box, we have several other tools. He has a direct fire telescope in the event that we do need to shoot direct fire. We have a bore sight alignment device. That's a verification for the gunner and the chief to verify that during that travel, nothing happened to that sight mount or that tube to throw it off where they wouldn't match. So this is basically a safety check for us to make sure everything is ready to shoot and safe to shoot. Some other little tools in there, screwdrivers and things to take apart our breech. This is our breech right here. This is the breech block assembly and the breech. Once the round gets placed into the tube, the assistant gunner would then close that breech. Hearing that metallic click tells the chief that, hey, the round's in there and it's ready to fire. We talked about the gun being digital. If our howitzer is digital, obviously we need something to power that digital and that computer capabilities. So right here we have our sled. Inside this sled is several batteries to power the howitzer and also a radio for our communications. In any operation or any mission, we need to maintain communications with our platoon leadership, our battery leadership. So we do have just our basic ASIP radio here, an RTO, our radio personnel who will be on the hand mic at all times in case information comes down or we need to let FDC or command know of anything. You do have the inertia navigation unit. So this gun knows where it is at all times. It does have GPS capabilities. If you notice these big spikes in the ground, these are what we call safety stakes. These basically give us a left and right tolerance so we don't shoot out of our safety box window. This is the max limit that the tube can go left and right, so that if we get an out of traverse mission, or what we call azimuth, where we have to change azimuth. Azimuth is basically the direction of which we fire these howitzers. So if they want to change our azimuth or direction, we can go left or right, but we also have a tolerance of where we cannot shoot safely. So this are here to stop us. So this one right here, the small one in the ground, this is our initial azimuth of lay. This is where the howitzer was laid when we occupied this firing position, and this is where the howitzer will come back to upon every end of mission. So they can fire they can shoot at different azimuths, maintaining inside the safety box, but after every end of mission, the soldiers will then bring the howitzer back to our original starting point. Absolutely, let's move on to ammo. So here in front of me are the Mike 105mm projectiles, the rounds and the propellants for the Mike 119er Alpha 3. It comes in this casing right here. We'll uncase the round, and inside it will be this canister which holds our powder increments. They are all numbered 1 to 7. This is what basically lights the, hold on, pause. Somebody give me a better explanation than lights the TNT. Ignites the explosive train. There we go. Once it ignites, it starts the explosive train to send that projectile outside the fuse and to its destination. They're numbered because we shoot different charges. We can pack all of them in there, or if the FTC calls for just a charge 5, we'll remove bags 7 and 6 and then place the round on top of the canister, and then the chief will verify that the charges are correct, and then we can fire that round safely. The FTC will calculate how many charges we need inside this canister upon the round hitting its target or destination. Moving on to the round. This is our 105 high explosive round. On top, it has a point detonated fuse, so it will activate upon impact. And then, like I described, if it is a charge 5, just for example, we'll remove 6 and 7, keeping charge 5 in there, and place the round. And then the round is ready to take to the chief to verify the charge. He verifies the type of round, and he also verifies that it's correct fuse and the fuse is on there tightly. The chief, once he verifies that round and that charge is correct, he cuts the charge. He just gives it a quick swipe, or this acrylic cord will break away pretty quickly. He gives it then to the round runner, and he sends them to what we call our powder pit or a burn barrel, and they basically just get this propellant outside of the net and away from the howitzer.
Charge 2, would it be verified? Verified. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the rear! 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the rear!
The number one cause of firing incidents in field artillery is wrong charge, so we want to make sure that that charge is not in that howitzer and not in that tube, and that round is safe and ready to fire. This round is a highly explosive round. We call it HE round. This is one of the most common rounds that we do use in our training exercise. It gives the full effect of the fire mission all the way from when we receive the fire mission to point of impact. And here on this range, we are able to observe where our rounds hit. So it's kind of cool for the trainees and new FA soldiers to be able to see that. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. So let's shoot some fire missions.
Charge 2, fuse for D, charge 2, ready, verified. Verified. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3. Is that ready? Lakey backlit, no warning message, stand by. Huh.
Oh, crap. You can edit a lot of this out, right?
I usually wear flying if this is the flight controls. I'm staring out of the aircraft looking this way through the heads-up display. I'm Major Riley Feeney, an AC-130J evaluator pilot, and this is everything I bring with me on a flight. This right here is probably the second most important thing. This is my helmet and oxygen mask. We utilize this in order to communicate on the aircraft as well as get our oxygen. The AC-130J primarily flies depressurized, so we're on the oxygen mask in order to get supplemental oxygen. The entire crew wears these whenever we are employing live fire, whether we're doing the guns or PGWs.
So what kind of features are on the helmet?
It's got a lip light right here. It's green so that I can get look at my knee board or any other thing that I have I'm trying to get information from. Additionally, up here is a night vision device mount in order so that whenever we're employing at nighttime, I've got a good idea of what is happening on the ground and what's happening outside of the aircraft.
What does lip light mean?
So a lip light's called a lip light because I'm able to use my lip in order to push this button right here
in order to turn it on whenever I'm flying, keep my hands free so I can continue to fly the aircraft. This right here is a finger light. I wear it on my middle finger, but other people wear it in different positions, but it's just push activated, and it gives us a green light in order to help protect our night vision when we're flying at night. Whenever I'm filling things out on the kneeboard, quick turn this on, scribble down whatever I need to scribble down. It keeps me informed, as well as it allows me to do scans around the cockpit whenever we've got thing pitched black in there, just to check to see if everything is as it should be. I fly with probably 3 or 4 of these just in case the battery fails, and I've got another way to pop this up. This, in conjunction with the lip light, allows us to keep a totally blacked out cockpit when we fly and not give our position up because of a highlighted cockpit. Yet again, like I was telling you, with the majority of the objects at this point in my career, they're more like Lucky Charms or things that remind me that I am completely decked out and ready to go. That's why I like the finger light. To go along with the helmet and the night vision goggle mount, or the night vision goggles themselves, we utilize these whenever I'm flying the aircraft. I'm looking out of the side heads-up display and looking at the projections that it puts on the ground. I'm able to see the friendly force as well as the enemy force utilizing these guys at night, and it's an incredible addition to my situational awareness to have these be present. You're able to adjust the filter here, but there's no real magnification that these provide. Simply, I'm just able to take a God's eye view of the battle space and then make assessments and decisions as the leader of the crew, whether or not to prosecute a target or whether to wait an additional section, or whether or not I'm friendly for following the helicopters or the friendly ground assault force.
Why would a pilot wear night vision goggles?
I can use my Mark I eyeball during the daytime, but I don't have the ability to see it during the night, so this really helps me. On our aircraft, we have 2 sensors, but we consider the aircraft commander to be the 3rd sensor. And the large scale or scope with which they're overseeing, they don't have the granularity that our sensor operators are able to see, but we're able to make better decisions on being able to see the entirety of the battle space, and that's what makes it really important and why these guys are super valuable at night. Also, these things are super useful to see tracer fire, so if people are shooting rounds 50 miles away, these guys give us a really good beat of, hey, something's going on over there that our sensors might not be able to see. And usually where I'm flying, if this is the flight controls, I'm staring out of the aircraft looking this way through the heads-up display. Probably the most important thing I bring on any flight with me is the electronic flight bag. This is an iPad that's utilized in order to contain all of my pubs, as well as everything that I utilize to do instrument approaches, both here and abroad and anywhere in the world. If I take this with me and I get it fully synced, I'm able to go pretty much anywhere in the world, and I have external batteries that I use to charge this if I'm staying on an exceptionally long flight. But this right here keeps me legal, safe, and also able to fly in any weather condition.
What does pub mean?
Oh, a pub is a publication, so there are DoD publications, Air Force regulations, Air Force instructions, and manuals that are all required for flight. If there's ever a question about any situation we get into, whether we're legal to do something or whether or not we need to call to higher headquarters, this will inform me of who I need to contact and how I need to contact them. In addition to that, it has all of our flight tech orders, which are the checklist we follow in order to conduct flight. And if we follow the checklist, we remain legal to fly.
How long have you guys used iPads?
So we've been using iPads for as long as I've been in Air Force Special Operations Command, since 2016. But they've been using them, I think, as early as 2012. The next thing up that we have is just a standard normal David Clark headset. This one is one of the fancy models that comes with noise canceling, so I can save myself a little bit of hearing loss and keep me flying for longer. These ones are traditionally used for day flying or whenever we're doing pilot proficiency training, just as a simpler, smaller version than having to wear this entire helmet and headset. It also provides a redundant means for us to have communication within the aircraft in the event that my headset in the helmet fails. So always carry a spare. That's good for not only flying, but also for life. This right here is a knee board. I've been flying with a knee board since I've been going through pilot training. What's really awesome about a knee board is you keep all your flight information right here. I have a pretty set way of how I keep my forms on my knee board, between how I get the weather at an airfield, between the tactical scenario that's developing in a battle space or in a restricted operating zone. I'm able to write everything down, and I battle track with my knee board, whether it's getting grids from the Joint Terminal Attack Controller or whether it's keeping a time mark of an engagement. I'm able to then have a thorough set of notes, both for me to reference in flight as well as out of flight. If anyone asks me any questions of what occurred, I know exactly what happened using this knee board. I wouldn't go anywhere without it. You wouldn't be a pilot in the United States Air Force if you didn't have some set of cool glasses. We've got Oakleys here. These are the ones that I traditionally wear during flight, during the daytime. These are approved forms of glasses, and we have to specifically get these from our resource advisor in order to fly, to make sure that they are in fact legal to fly with. You'd be surprised on the cloudiest days, you break through the cloud layer and then all of a sudden you got a bunch of sun staring you in the eyes, and it makes it really tough to fly. So I really don't go anywhere without these ready at any point in time.
So you couldn't go to the mall, get some Oakleys?
You could. The one way to remain legal in the United States Air Force is make sure that you get these approved via the Air Force so that you don't get yourself in trouble by flying with something you shouldn't be flying with. Additionally, right here, these are my dog tags. Not only are you legally required to fly with these per Air Force regulations, but also it is an incredibly important thing to have on you in the event anything goes bad, so that they can identify you, as well as at this point, they've become somewhat of a good luck charm for me. I always carry them in the same pocket in order to make sure that I'm ready. If anytime I forget that I'm flying with these, I know I'm a little bit more risky because I'm not following my normal procedure and standard in order to go fly. Prior to stepping. In our helmet, there are no noise canceling features, so you gotta make sure you bring some foamy earplugs. These are also great for whenever you're walking around doing your pre-flight inspection and the auxiliary power unit is running. I've spent a long career listening to very loud sounds, and the less that I have to hear that's loud, the better for me, both in terms of just my comfort, but as well as knowing that my next flight physical, someone won't tell me that I'm losing my hearing. And then these ones are the ones that I fly with. There are other versions. There's other ones that are molded into the ear that members of our squadron have. I just prefer the foamies. They fit the same all the time. Basically just take this one, and I know other people wear them different ways, but I pretty much put this guy in, crush it down a little bit, and you put it right into the ear like this. And at this point in my career, it's just an incredibly relaxing feeling to just zone out every other noise that's going around out there. As with anything in life, you should also stay well hydrated. So I always carry around this issued hydro flask. I've got all the stickers from all the squadrons I've been a part of in my life. And it's just a keepsake for me, not only to remember where I've been from, but also if I haven't filled this up before a flight, I make sure I do so immediately in order that I can stay hydrated, especially on exceptionally long sorties. You kind of just lose track of time, and if you don't have water, you'll quickly find yourself performing poorly. All right, this is more of a personal thing. I really like to fly with gum. I pretty much throw in a piece of gum right prior to starting engines and before we start checklists on the aircraft. This is just a way to calm me down and get myself in a rhythm to make sure I can execute it properly. It helps me think more clearly when I'm chewing on gum. I'll probably go through 4 or 5 pieces on a flight, depending on the length. It reminds me, hey, I should be drinking water, I should be having food. But on top of that, it just helps keep me calm and more importantly, keep me in a rhythm. You kind of notice good crews run in a good rhythm, so I don't want to say that the gum is the metronome that runs that machine, but maybe it is. I wouldn't be in the military if I wasn't pushing some form of energy drink. I personally drink Red Bull, sugar-free. This is kind of the go-to for me for night lines, especially when you find yourself lagging a little bit. You never want to be behind the aircraft. So usually crack one of these open probably halfway through a sortie in order to get the rest get through the rest of the flight safely. Obviously, this is for when you're not wearing the O2 mask. Unfortunately, there's just no way to get Red Bull into your mouth while you're wearing your mask, so you have to be deliberate about, hey, making sure you have your Red Bull at the correct time of flight to make sure you're still energized for the entirety of the sortie. And then this right here is the helmet bag. This is the first patch that I ever got whenever I got to Air Force Special Operations Command, so I just kind of wear it on my bag as a reminder of back when I was Lieutenant Feeney, learning how to fly the gunship. But I pretty much keep everything that I need inside of this bag, to include other items such as flashlights, reflective belts. Anytime you're not in the aircraft at night, need to be safe, or just follow regulations that the Air Force requires you to follow. And this is everything that I take with me when I go fly an AC-130J.
Some things that you'll see if you wear a Citadel uniform is your food getting paid for by alum, or you'll get, some boos and hisses. It really depends on the day. My name is Cale McCarg. I'm the Deputy Regimental Commander here at the Citadel, and I'm going to be showing you the 8 primary uniforms that we wear here at the Citadel. The Citadel is an institution of higher learning. If you see the beginning, the freshman cadets, they come in a little bit nervous, they come in broken down. And if you see the final result, which is a senior such as myself, you see somebody who's confident, well organized, and ready to conquer life. From the get-go, we have the PT uniform. It is composed of 3 different components. So we have number 1 is our reflective belt. This is for safety reasons. So we're running out around in the morning, usually at 5:20 in the morning, and this will just reflect off of any car lights coming on. This helps with just identifying who's a Citadel cadet and who is not. And then the next component of our Citadel PT uniform is the polyester top. So that has the Citadel logo on the left side and our ethics and action symbol on the back. The final component of the Citadel PT uniform is our Citadel shorts, and that is also polyester.
Are there any pockets in the shorts?
There are no pockets in the shorts.
Is that annoying?
Oh, a little bit, yes.
Why?
Well, Quite frankly, you just got to hold everything in your hand. It adds a little bit of the professionalism to the uniform, makes it so that there's no like bulging pockets. Yes, it's annoying, but I think overall it improves the appearance.
Are these PTs, are they comfortable? Are you a fan of them?
Depends. Well, the winter uniform is not very comfortable. It's a little bit hot, but the summer uniform, I'm a big fan. It's pretty breezy, and I like it. This is the OCP uniform, and we typically wear this on Monday and Thursdays, which are ROTC lab days. We'll wake up and show up to formation wearing the OCPs, and we'll wear that until our ROTC training starts. So depending on the branch that you are in, you'll then, if you're Army, you'd stay in OCPs. If you're Navy, you'd change into that designated uniform, Air Force, Coast Guard, etc.
Do you like wearing the OCP?
I definitely do. Although it gets a little bit hot because it is the winter version of the OCP, I definitely enjoy it a lot more than the duty uniform.
Why?
Well, the duty uniform is a little bit stiff. We got a lot of shirt stays underneath this, and it kind of sags the shoulders down. It's not as comfortable. We like to call these our pajamas because they're real comfy, and if you're really tired after class, you can take a snooze in these. So on the left shoulder, we will have the unit patch. So for this example, we have Delta Company, and on the right shoulder will be typically the Citadel flag right here, the big red flag. It is composed of the OCP winter top and the OCP bottoms. These are the OCP pants. Pretty comfortable, pretty breathable for the most part, except during the hot, humid months in Charleston.
You ever get used to that, or is that just something that's always tough?
You know, at first when I first showed up, I was cooking in this thing, but you know, I'd say that you build up a sort of tolerance for it, and you get used to it, and you just kind of press through and suck it out. And these are the coyote brown boots that we wear with the OCP uniform.
Do you like wearing those?
Not these specifically.
Really?
I wear the Oakleys. These are a little bit heavier. These are the ones that the school can issue you if you showed up with no boots at all, but most people prefer to buy their own versions that are a little bit more breathable, a little bit lighter. This is the duty uniform. This is typically worn on the days Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in the academic week. This is our working outfit. Basically, if you got an assignment to do or you got official business, you would wear this. It's composed of the gray shirt, dress shirt. We would iron the sides. You'd iron the sides with stay flow, ensuring that they have a nice crease to them. And you would iron the collar to make sure that they really pop down, maintains like a flushness with the rest of your uniform. So when I initially showed up, I had absolutely zero ironing skills, but it's definitely one thing that you learn here is just the process of rinsing and repeating that skill. So I would like to say now I'm pretty much an expert at ironing this uniform. I can whip one of these out in probably 30 minutes. You typically wear this uniform Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday in the academic week. And our duty trousers right here with the black stripe down the middle. It's cotton, just really not breathable. With all the humidity in Charleston, it's not the best. So this is our cover for the duty uniform. So right here on the left side of the cover, we will have the rank. And if you're a freshman cadet or a private, you would have nothing there. The white stripe along the top represents you being an upper class cadet, as opposed to the all black cover representing a freshman cadet.
Can you show me how this is worn?
So you kind of use 2 fingers to measure the length at the top, and that is how you wear the cover in the duty uniform. When it's very windy, it'll blow off very easily. So you'll typically see cadets kind of grabbing it in the wind, but outside of that, it does a pretty good job of somehow staying up there.
I saw one upperclassman yesterday, it had kind of a tilt to the side. Did some people what's that about?
Well, depending on the company, there's different ways sometimes of wearing it. So you'll probably see that little tilt to the cover if you're like a clerk or from Victor Company. I see a lot of cadets from Victor Company wearing it that way these days, but that is not how you're supposed to wear that. So the black epaulets on the shoulder are representing you as a cadet officer if you're a senior. So if you're a senior and you have rank, you are a cadet officer and you'll wear these.
Tell me about this belt.
So our belt is made of black webbing and then a brass belt that when you, as a freshman, receive it, you're responsible to blitz it and then shine it with sandpaper and blue magic.
What's blue magic?
So blue magic is our little shining polish that we use to kind of get rid of all that humidity that builds up on top of the brass every morning. And typically I'll shine my belt probably 2 to 3 times a day just to make sure it stays nice and clean. These are our black dress shoes. Early on, cadets will usually wear the baits, and once they actually learn that they're really, really hard to shine, they'll transition over to the floor shimes. And those are what I am currently wearing. So myself, I like to shine them every night and then kind of buff them out every morning with my PT shorts. So you shine them, you put the polish on for it takes about 30 minutes of effort, and then in the morning, you will then I personally take my PT shorts and kind of buff them out, make them have a nice shine to them, and that will carry me out for the rest of the day. This is the summer leave uniform. It has 2 blue shoulder boards and has the duty trousers that I mentioned earlier. You typically wear this on leave, it's in the name, and during the summer or the hotter weather days, and it's designated by the Commandant's Department whether or not we will be wearing this. So leave is for certain open weekends. If we're not conducting an SMI or we don't have any training for that week, we'll be then released to go out into Charleston or go back home to see our parents. And typically that will start about Friday night after last military duty until Sunday at 22:30.
What's SMI?
So an SMI stands for Saturday Morning Inspection.
So what's it like for you when you go out into Charleston wearing your summer leave? What does that feel like for you? What kind of reactions does that get?
There's definitely a sense of pride in your institution when you're carrying yourself, and just wearing the uniform makes you carry yourself differently. Maybe it's the shirt stays, bring your back a little bit up and erect. And I think that people see you in a different light. Maybe it's a reaction to the way you carry yourself, but I think that uniform definitely has a reaction or an effect on that. Some things that you'll see if you wear a Citadel uniform is your food getting paid for by alum, or you'll get some boos and hisses. It really depends on the day, but outside of that, it's an honor to wear this. These are the same duty trousers that we wore in the duty uniform with the black stripe going down the middle. This is the white garrison cover. This is worn with our summer leave and our dress white uniform, as well as our dress salt and pepper uniform. I think it has a good aesthetic to it. Fits nicely on the head. It's definitely one of our best looking covers that we have access to at the Citadel.
Does it stay on in the wind?
Yeah, actually surprisingly very well. This is the dress white uniform. It is composed of the same shoulder boards as the summer leave, and it has these brass buttons that you can take out and blitz and shine. It also has our South Carolina pins, and if you are awarded gold stars, you'll be placing them in this area right here. And it also is composed of our same dress white pants. You typically wear this uniform going to formal events, such as if you're called to the President's office, you'd wear this, or to chapel. For the final march to Marion Square, you would wear this uniform to swear in as a freshman cadet. So this definitely has a lot of heavy significance to this uniform.
I mean, there's a lot of shining that goes on with these buttons, right?
Yeah, so this uniform actually takes quite a bit of time to put together. I would say probably just the shining alone, if you include all the breastplate and the waist plate that's attached to it, probably a good solid 15 minutes of just shining brass if you do a good job.
Are they comfortable?
This is my favorite uniform by far. I think it's very breathable. It's probably the most breathable of all of our uniforms. It's probably the most aesthetic as well, in my opinion. It just really pops out and really represents the Citadel well, in my opinion. This is the first component of our dress salt and pepper. As you can see, it's full wool. It's very heavy. We wear this typically during the winter months of the academic year. And just one thing to note, on the sleeves, after you complete each year, a stripe is added. So once you're a senior, you will have 3 stripes on this. And as you can see, this is a freshman cadet's. This is a big parade uniform that we wear, especially for the more like the award parades. We'll wear the salt and pepper. We really don't wear this uniform very often, but when we do, it definitely looks great. And I enjoy this uniform a lot, just because it has the combination of keeping you warm on the top, and then the bottoms are a little bit more breathable with the dress white pants. This is the salt to the pepper. Back to the dress white pants, same pants. Real breathable, real comfortable. So for the salt and pepper, we also wear this white garrison cover. This is the dress gray uniform. So it's the same top as the salt and pepper, except that the pants are full wool. I think that I can accurately represent the rest of the Citadel and say that this is probably the most disliked uniform that we have, simply because we do live in Charleston and it's high humidity, high heat, pretty much year round. So the wool does a great job of insulating all that heat and keeping us nice and toasty, especially during those parades. This is the black garrison cover that we wear with the dress gray uniform. During cadre period and challenge week, cadre will be wearing this cover with the duty uniform, as well as white gloves. It just adds to the aesthetic and just the professionalism of the entire uniform. In some of the uniforms that you'll see in this video, you'll be seeing this red sash here, and this simply represents a sword-bearing cadet. So whether that is a top NCO, being a first sergeant, or even just an officer, they will wear these for any dress uniform specifically. I do like wearing the red sash. I think it adds to the aesthetic of the uniform. It does get a little bit sweaty around the waist when you're wearing it, but outside of that, it really does add a lot of color and vibrance. So yes, I do like wearing the sash. We have the full dress uniform. This is the most formal of all of the uniforms that we have. You will only wear this typically for the big events of the year, such as the President's Inspection or the Long Gray Line. So as you can see, once again, this is a freshman cadets. There is no rank, but typically on a higher ranking cadet or just a rank holder, you'd see the stripes being down here for the sophomore, and the rest of the stripes from junior to senior year right here in this area. And it is also paired with the dress white pants. I do enjoy wearing this uniform. I think it really represents the Citadel well. It looks great. It's a little bit hot in the top just because it is made out of all wool, but it's easy to wear. It doesn't require any shining of the brass, so it doesn't really take a lot of time to put together. So I do enjoy wearing this uniform. This is the shako, and this is the pom-pom, and if you are a senior with rank, you'll be wearing the plume. So the placement of actually the strap on the shako is very important. So if it falls underneath your nose, that means you're in command. It means that you are about to give commands specifically at parade, and if it falls beneath or right at the chin, that means you are listening or taking commands. That is the significance of the location of our strap. I'm not a huge fan of this hat simply because of, I guess, how tall it is and the way it sits on your head, but I do understand that there's a lot of cultural and significance to the Citadel, and that's why they keep it around. As you just saw, those are the 8 primary uniforms we wear at the Citadel.
If I'm fighting in the jungle, I want something different than if I'm fighting in Alaska or if I'm fighting in Iraq or Afghanistan. This is a product of fighting in the Middle East. They were going to FOBs, refitting, and they were going out to fight. So you only had to worry about carrying stuff you needed to fight, right? But now, especially in the jungle environment, we don't have that luxury, and you have to sustain yourself and move long distances and then continue to fight. The purpose, I think, of this is to kind of bridge that gap between sustainability and fighting. I'm First Lieutenant Zachary Calderon. I'm First Platoon Platoon Leader from Charlie Rock, Cacti, and I'm about to introduce you guys to the jungle rig that I'm testing out, optimized for jungle operations. So obviously we're not in a jungle environment right now. We're currently in Pahukalua training area, otherwise known as PTA, or the Big Island of Hawaii. But this rig is applicable for not just a jungle environment, but basically any environment we fight in. Okay. So from top to bottom, you have the harness itself, which is made of super lightweight material. Same thing with these straps. Like I said, 6-point adjustable harness, drop extenders, when you need to put your ruck on. Something I really like about it is you can take all these clips off too. So like these clips right here, I could take all these clips off and I can just make it a belt. overall, like the theme is like modularity and customization, and that's, I think, super important. Because like I said, you never know which environment you're gonna fight in. Like a couple days ago, we were in the jungle in Oahu, and now we're on the Big Island and basically, you know, an open desert, I guess. And again, left to right, double mag pouches. Generally put mags in there. They have these bungee corsets to kind of tighten it down. So if I want to use the flaps, I can use the flaps. If I don't want to use the flaps, it's got a, you know, a bungee stay right here. It's just a tourniquet on the outside that I have ready to go. Again, my adjustable nod pouch. You can fit like a 1 liter Nalgene in there, and a 1 liter Nalgene water bottle. And then I have my giant sustainment pouch. Again, it's like a status card, laminated status card, signaling, IR chem lights. My leader's book with the little tie down strap. My leader's book, it's basically just a notebook that I use to plan. In my notebook, I have some what's called bump cards for helicopters, for air assaulting or anything like that. And these are used just to basically tell, you know, have the serials for all my sensitive items and whatnot. And then I have some protractors, map markers, and then I have some overlays, some map overlays. So generally when we plan, I don't write on the map ever. I'll just write on these overlays, and then I'll put that over top of my map and kind of have like my, you know, mission graphics on these instead of my map itself. We bought, as a battalion, we bought some stuff from this company, JTAC, included like 249 pouches, dump pouches, slings, just various different things. And one of the guys that works up at S4, one of the lieutenants up there, which is like the logistics cell of our battalion, he reached out to the CEO. CEO got back to him and wanted to build some like jungle specific rigs and equipment. My buddy Chris, who's up at S4, he hit me up and was like, hey, you know, would you mind testing this out with your platoon? And I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to do that, you know? I took my platoon out, we all went out and did like a quick ambush and kind of started that relationship. And then since then, we've just been going back and forth with gear and testing different things out. Have my map, nothing fancy, I usually just put in a Ziploc bag. And this map is just currently all of our AO that we're operating in right now. And then I've got face paint, because you need face paint. VS17 signaling panel. Yeah, so that's basically everything in my sustainment pouch. So moving over, I have my IFAC. It's a rip open top. This particular one isn't JTAC, but it's the same exact design, or pretty close to the design that he has. Got some gauze here, more gauze, or I got some bandages, gauze, tape, chest seals, some combat gauze, an Israeli pressure bandage, and some NPAs. I like to keep my tourniquets on the outside. That's why I have it right here, just so I can have like super easy access. Have the canteen pouch, the adjustable canteen pouch. I made this bungee like corset go around it so it cinched down to my radio, and then rounded it out just two more mags. So I had the capacity to carry 8 mags total, and as a PL or a platoon leader, like I don't need 8 magazines. So I usually just dish those out to my guys. If I'm fighting in the jungle, I want something different than if I'm fighting in Alaska or if I'm fighting in Iraq or Afghanistan. We have Sergeant Leota, one of the most badass NCOs in Charlie Rock, and honestly the battalion really. He's rocking the standard issued TAPS, you know what TAPS? Tactical Assault Panel that pretty much most of the Army is issued. So there's 6 dedicated mag pouches built into it, all Velcro. And then there's 2 at the very end, which are meant for radios or more magazines if you want. It's got Molly row, 3 rows of Molly on the front of it. He's got his standard IFAC upside down, so it's a lot easier to access for him or anyone else who needs to use it. This pouch is actually one of the JTAC pouches, the adjustable ones he's rocking. It's got like a split Y harness on the back of it, so 3 buckles here, and then a fixed buckle here. He's also rocking a gun belt, and most of our dudes are wearing gun belts, but none of those are issued, unfortunately. On his gun belt, he has most of his mags, standard issue double mag pouches, Velcro, a dump pouch for magazines or anything he finds in the battlefield that he deemed as like important for intel. And then this is the standard issued canteen pouch he's got here. Most dudes rock their night vision devices in the pouches. And that's pretty much it. The big difference is the level of outflow you have for air, right? So, or for heat to escape, right? So on this, all the heat's like trapped right here, especially when he's got it fully loaded down with, you know, full combat load, right? Whereas me, like I have nothing here. So all the weight is pretty much on his shoulders, right? And for me, it's the same way. My weight's on my shoulders, but I can easily adjust this to sit at my waist when I'm not wearing a rucksack or whatever it is. As far as ease of access goes, I have 8 mags right here, basically right here on my front left and right. Super easy to access, no matter what hand. I can carry a lot more on this and still move faster. I have a lot more points of adjustment. So I can like tailor this, since I said 6 points of adjustment, I can tailor this to, you know, to whatever I'm doing, right? With this, once you adjust it, and correct me if I'm wrong, most guys just like, once they adjust it, it stays that way because it's a pain to like readjust, right? With this, the cool thing about it is like I have these extenders, so I adjust it to sit the way I want it to when I'm fighting. You know, when I just have this rig on and not like a rucksack or something. And then when I'm rucking, all I have to do is hit these adjustments and, you know, I'm good to go. It's like a quick adjust kind of thing. This is an evolution of itself. So before this, you had the Flick, the fighting load carrier, I believe. And it was basically just a vest. And that had even less ability to adapt, right? This is a product of fighting in the Middle East, is because they were fighting, they were going to FOBs, refitting, and they were going out to fight. So you only had to worry about carrying stuff you needed to fight, right? But now, especially in the jungle environment, we don't have that luxury where we're operating out of FOBs and we have, you know, strong support from battalion or brigade or whatever it is, and you have to sustain yourself and move long distances and then continue to fight, right? So the purpose I think of this is to kind of bridge that gap between sustainability and fighting. And I think with this, you don't really get that as much. It's good for what it was meant to do. You can detach these 2 straps, and you can hook into a plate carrier. But then again, like I said, you're just carrying more weight and you have to modify your rig again. Whereas opposed to this, you can just, if you wanted to, throw your plate carrier on and you're good to go. You're good to fight. You have everything right here. So I think this is a step in the right direction, honestly, in terms of the jungle environment. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it a lot in the jungle environment. I've noticed when I'm actually maneuvering through the jungle, I don't sweat nearly as much as I did with my old rig and my gun belt. And with this thing, I can kind of do it all, you know? I can super easy take off, rip this off. Half the times I don't even need to wear this. This is just to keep it kind of close together. And then unbuckle this and I can just don it off. It's super easy. So, I mean, that's something also I didn't really talk about earlier, but if I'm doing like combat water survival stuff, I mean, this thing is incredibly easy to take off. It's just one belt buckle away, you know, swim out of it, and I'm out of my rig. So if there's gear out there, you know, that allows guys and girls to move faster, move longer distances, then why not? Yeah, I think overall, I think it's good for a really good step in the right direction for jungle operations.